Looking at the pacifist in front of me, Lin Yan stretched his fist. In fact, compared to these, he is more inclined. I want to test how strong the group of pacifists in front of me is. After all, as a man, who wouldn't be interested in mechas? Although he can also drive a Gundam. Finished. Lin Yan's sharp eyes settled on the group of pacifists in front of him. In hand, the power of Thunderfruit is unleashed. Zzzz. With the blessing of thunder and lightning, Lin Yan just snapped his fingers, in an instant. Boom. 5 thunder and lightning struck down in the sky. Thunder and lightning passed through 5 pacifists in front of them in one breath. In an instant, sparks flew everywhere and lightning flashed everywhere. In a blink, the 5-frame pacifist who was still arrogant just now, he was instantly swept away by Lin Yan's thunder and lightning. Suddenly, wrecks and severed limbs were scattered everywhere. The 5 pacifists were directly burned by the high temperature of Lin Yan's thunder and lightning, and melted into a pool of molten iron. All internal parts are scrapped. Not good. I originally wanted to try Lin Yan, a pacifist. After seeing this scene, he shook his head. Not even a bolt of lightning can be withheld. What a pacifist. My pacifist. Watching Lin Yan destroy 5 of his own mechas in the blink of an eye, Zon Taomaru was stunned for a while, and then he shouted loudly. Pity. The wood has become a boat. Let him scream as much as he wants. Nothing can change the fact that has happened. The main thing is, he's a pacifist. I had to take it back and hand it over. Each pacifist is expensive to build, so much was lost in one go. His heart went cold. No need to think too much. A severe beating is inevitable when you return. Hateful. When he thought that it was Lin Yan in front of him who caused this situation, Zon Taowen glared at him. Holding his axe tightly, Zon Taowen wanted to hit Lin Yan in front of him with an axe. Just when Zon Taomaru was about to take action. Stop. Zon Momomaru. Far away. Kizaru spoke. Appeal to Zon Momomaru not to take action, although Zon Taowen doesn't like anyone. But Kizaru was the only one who made him docile. Hear Kizaru's words. Zon Momomaru quickly looked at Kizaru. Old man, let me go up and kill him. You are no match for him. Kizaru put his hands in his pockets, with a faint smile on his wretched face. He looked at Lin Yan in front of him and said, First meeting, Captain of the Whitebeard Pirates. Hello, Marine Admiral. Lin Yan also greeted Kizaru. Listen to the conversation between Kizaru and Lin Yan. Zon Taowen had a meal first. Captain? He has basically met all the captains of the Whitebeard Pirates. Who is this person in front of me? Soon. Zon Taomaru quickly thought of recent newspapers. Actually, he didn't pay much attention to newspapers. All that was known was that the White Group had recruited a new crew member. It's him? Zon Taowen suddenly understood. Why didn't old man Kizaru let himself do it? The reason is simple. Can't beat it. Oh hey, I didn't expect this new squad leader to actually know me. I'm really flattered. Kizaru took 2 steps forward, took off his sunglasses and said. Wearing sunglasses, hands in pockets, kicking a supernova. There really is no one like this. Marine Admiral is famous all over the world, who doesn't know it? Lin Yan smiled back. The squad leader suddenly appears here. Does he want to fight me? Kizaru asked with a hint of caution in his eyes. Of course not, I was just passing by, that's all. Lin Yan was indeed just passing by here. In that case, my mission for today is considered completed? Kizaru was a little surprised. He didn't expect Lin Yan not to take action. His mission is to apprehend all supernovas. Now Rayleigh, who was finally able to resist him, is also injured. In other words, as long as Lin Yan doesn't want a fight to break out, he can take all the supernovas back to the underwater prison. In principle, that's the case. Lin Yan suddenly gave an unpredictable answer. What about actually? Kizaru asked. Certainly. Lin Yan paused, and he followed closely. No. Ace, the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, is also Luffy's older brother. Although I don't know the Straw Hats very well, in theory we are a little close. If you want to take them away in front of me. This is not okay. Lin Yan shook his head and voted down Kizaru's behavior. Oh hey, come to think of it, I'm going to have to fight again? I've heard about what you did in the New World, Captain. Fighting against a strong man like you is very troublesome. Kizaru really didn't want to fight Lin Yan. Oh, who isn't? Lin Yan couldn't help but tell the truth. The words just fell. Shaki on the side was speechless for a while after hearing Lin Yan's words. Then he kicked him directly. Lin Yan understood it and quickly changed his words. Ah no, then Admiral, tell me what to do. Since you don't want to do it, I don't want to do it either. Otherwise, let's do this. I'll leave Luffy to you. The other Straw Hat pirates are not related to you. You have no problem with me taking them all away. Kizaru gave an idea. What a bad idea you have. Lin Yan did not agree. He made a fist with one hand and said, what if I want them all? Oh hey, Captain, you are making things difficult for me. Kizaru put his hands in his pockets to express his difficulty. Bros, I have a deal now. The problem is, I don't want to give the money, but I want the goods. What to do? Lin Yan watched the two sides arguing. He thought for a moment. Immediately afterwards, there was a faint light in his eyes. Admiral, let me give you an idea. The rest of the Straw Hats stay. How about you take Luffy away? What? Just as Lin Yan finished speaking, Rayleigh was the first to stand up. Luffy is the backbone of the Straw Hat pirates. How could he be taken away by Kizaru? To know. Once Luffy falls into Marine's hands, waiting for him. It's the dark undersea prison. Where is the undersea prison? It was a nightmare for pirates, a place that had been said to be unbreakable for many years. Once Luffy is locked up inside, there will be endless darkness and countless tortures waiting in front of him. No one really thinks so. Luffy can successfully jailbreak. Captain. Can't do this. Shaki also noticed the shocked Rayleigh on the side. Looking at the injured Lao Lei, her eyes were full of heartache. At the same time, she understood and immediately dissuaded Lin Yan. I have my own plan. Lin Yan signaled Shaki to calm down, but said to Kizaru, Admiral, what do you think? After hearing that Lin Yan was actually willing to give up Luffy when exchanging with other Straw Hat pirates. Not to mention Rayleigh. Even Kizaru, Senmomomaru and the others paused for a while. They looked Lin Yan up and down. Is this true? Zon Taowen immediately pointed at Lin Yan and shouted. He looked like he was afraid that Lin Yan would regret it. Luffy is the leader of the Straw Hats. He just needs to be snuffed out. The Straw Hat pirates can't get far at all, by the time. The Grand Line is missing one supernova. Their marines also lacked a major threat. Those 5 pacifists. At least he didn't die in vain. No, absolutely not. Rayleigh shook her head, not wanting to let go. Luffy is the one he takes special care of. We must not let anything happen to Luffy. But for Lin Yan, use a Luffy. Replacing the rest of the Straw Hats can be said to be a huge gain. Anyway, Luffy can be jailbroken by then. Lin Yan wanted him to make some noise in the prison even more. As long as the movement in the prison is big enough, it can even affect the situation of Summit War. On the contrary, if all the Straw Hats go in, that would be difficult. At least, it's time for Luffy to do something. Everyone will be at a loss, because of the safety of everyone in the Straw Hats. Look forward and backward. What's more, it also triggers the butterfly effect. So, it's better to let Luffy go in alone. Rayleigh has Rayleigh's ideas, and Lin Yan has Lin Yan's abacus. However, when all this comes to Kizaru, Kizaru's words. But Lin Yan was stunned when he broke the defense on the spot. Oh hey, Captain, I'm afraid I have to discuss this matter with you. Kizaru hesitated and said. Lin Yan quickly frowned. No, I've already left Luffy to you. This is a piece of cake. He is the captain of the Straw Hats. A supernova with a bounty of 300 million belly. A character who can definitely enter the new world in the future. As long as you put him in the underwater prison, you can cut off this trend. For you Marines, it can be said to be 100 benefits without any harm. Certainly. No gain, no harm, at least for now, this is what Marine looks like. Then what? You actually refused. Lin Yan went numb on the spot. First say Marine Admiral, can you play your cards according to common sense? Why did Kizaru reject it? His idea is simple. There is no other reason, on the occasion of parting. As a Marine hero, Garp the Fist quietly handed him a sum of money. At the same time, with an honest look on his face, he whispered in Kizaru's ear, I'll leave it to you about Luffy. How greedy Kizaru is. Give Lin Yan a run for his money. Tell me loudly. If the salary is in place, who are you talking about that the 4 emperors are useless? Looking at the bulging wealth, I can't refuse it. Kizaru accepted it old-fashionedly. Military honors, merit, and achievements. They have all reached the admiral level of Kizaru. Credit and other achievements are all in the past. Humanity and sophistication are the way to go. Senior Garp wants a face, who among them dares not to give it? Not to mention, and such a generous reward. Luffy is very capable though, don't forget it. He has Garp's support. Come all the way. Kizaru really has no intention of taking Luffy back. It is the last word to deal with a few other supernovas casually and leave it to Marshal Sengoku. How much to take? So many things to do. Why don't you just let Luffy go quietly? Kizaru only has one sentence. What a big deal. No, you have to take Luffy. After briefly breaking through the defense, Lin Yan insisted. This is not okay. Kizaru disagrees with Lin Yan's idea. Lin Yan. You have to take it away. Kizaru. No, no. Then the style of painting began to change. Lin Yan, who is obviously related to Luffy, is dragging Kizaru to get him to take Luffy away. Kizaru seems to have been instructed by someone, and he is unwilling to take Luffy away even if he kills him. Mutual exchange. Both sides seem to be doing Tai Chi. Luffy was pushed back and forth between the two. This scene. Zon Momomaru, Rayleigh, and Shaki were dumbfounded. The Straw Hat Pirates who had been captured lying on the ground were even more confused. No, you guys are pushing and doing Tai Chi here. Can you take care of our feelings? We are the parties involved, okay. Stop pushing. Find us a place to heal first. Look at our Captain Luffy. It hurt so much that smoke started to come out of my mouth. Lin Yan continued to question. Give me a reason. Kizaru didn't want to explain. Oh, you can't say this reason. At this time, Lin Yan was like Mr. Conan who was meditating, and a light flashed in the back of his head. Look at Kizaru's unwillingness to take Luffy away. He suddenly understood something. If you give Lin Yan a pair of glasses. No doubt. These glasses are definitely reflecting light. Maybe you received some benefits from Garp. Lin Yan looked at Kizaru suspiciously, as soon as this statement came out. Zon Momomaru, Shaki and Rayleigh all looked at Kizaru. This. Kizaru felt guilty for a second. Especially after noticing the looks of Zon Momomaru, Rayleigh and others. He immediately responded calmly. I told you not to talk nonsense. Believe it or not, I will sue you for slander. After all. Because Lin Yan saw through her mind. In addition, everyone at the scene was watching. Kizaru could only take Luffy onto the boat with tears in his eyes. Since then, except Zoro all supernova. All were brought aboard the warship. Kizaru stood on the deck of the warship blowing the sea breeze very depressed. They say whatever they are afraid of will come. The less I want to take Luffy away. But Luffy was taken away by him. Think of this. Kizaru sighed repeatedly. Sorry Garp, I can't complete the task you asked me to do. Should have known so. He should fight Lin Yan. Win as Hokage, lose. Ahem. At this time. News about Kizaru successfully completing his mission. It was also passed back to Marineford. How's it going? How's it going? The door to the marshal's office was knocked open with a clang by Garp. Enraged, Garp immediately came over to hear the outcome of the Sabaody Archipelago incident. Garp. Sengoku clenched his fists and stared at the old naughty boy in front of him with a sinister look. What's wrong? As the Marine Vice Admiral, why don't I come and get the information? Seeing Sengoku's furious look, Garp was not afraid of him and just fought back. Sengoku's face darkened. In the end, I chose to shut up. Garp was right. He is indeed qualified to observe. It's not hard to guess. Kizaru should not have captured Luffy. How many times have I said it? How many times have I said it? Stop guarding your shortcomings. If the protection continues like this Luffy will sooner or later become a serious problem for their marine. Hateful. If only Akainu were here. For the first time, Sengoku realized how lucky he was to have Akainu by his side. Reporting to the Marshal, Kizaru Admiral has captured a total of 10 of the 11 supernovas of the Sabaody Archipelago. It can be considered that the mission of the Marshal has been exceeded. The Lieutenant Junior Grade who came in to report gave a military salute and then explained the reason. Good. Lieutenant Junior Grade had just finished speaking, and Garp clenched his fists and shouted, "Hello." 10 of the 11 supernovas were captured. Who else could have slipped through the net but his grandson? Garp grinned. He burst out laughing. Well done Kizaru. If you want to be a marshal in the future, I will directly vote for you. What is human kindness? This is the wisdom of the world. With Garp's support, Kizaru's career will be bright in the future. Look at Garp's triumphant look. let alone Sengoku. Even the lieutenant junior grade who came in to report could guess why Garp burst out laughing. Listen to the results of this Kizaru expedition. Sengoku clenched his fists. He knew there would be such a scene. He had been putting up with Garp for a long time, especially when he saw Garp laughing. Sengoku quit on the spot. Garp, what are you laughing at? As a veteran in the workplace for many years, Garp stopped himself from laughing. I think of happy things. Sengoku stared at him. What happened? Garp made up a random reason. My grandson has a baby. Your grandson is Luffy. Luffy is now in Sabaody Archipelago and just finished playing Celestial Dragons. You told me that he is giving birth to a child? He's giving birth to a baby while fighting Celestial Dragons? Sengoku could no longer control his temper. Yeah. Garp pinched his mouth into the shape of a duck, physically suppressing laughter. I'm repeating. This is Marshal Marine's office, I'm not kidding. Sengoku was so angry that he slammed the table. Ha 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 ha, Garp wants to hold it in. But when you think about it, Luffy is the only one left behind in the Celestial Dragons incident. Still couldn't help laughing. Really? My grandson looks like a pirate king. Asshole, Garp, you are bullying me too much. I have tolerated you for a long time. Sengoku was so angry that his head was already smoking. He kicked over the table in front of him and shouted. My grandson has given birth, Garp insisted. You are obviously smiling and haven't stopped. Do you think I didn't see it? Sengoku was so angry that his brain was bleeding. Well, interrupt me. At this time, the lieutenant junior grade on the side said to the two of them, the supernova who was not captured is Zoro of the Straw Hat Pirates. The Straw Hat Luffy you are talking about is already on his way back under the escort of Kizaru Admiral. He just finished speaking. The scene suddenly became quiet. Except for the table that Sengoku kicked over just now. There was no sound from either of them. Sengoku was stunned for a second. Garp was also stunned for a second. That fish that slipped through the net. Not Straw Hat Luffy. How is that possible? I obviously gave Kizaru a large amount of money. Garp cried out. Maid. Kizaru. How could you? Was my money wasted? All my efforts were in vain. This crucial vote for you to become Marshal Marine in the future is gone. Come to think of it, my Kuzan is still sensible. Released into the sea many times. Let Luffy and his gang survive to this day successfully. Give him this vote, Garp. Sengoku glanced at him. He keeps saying that he does not protect his shortcomings. It's better now. The money was given directly to Kizaru. First up is Aokiji. Now it's Kizaru again. Sengoku suddenly felt like he was fighting alone and couldn't move. Chizuru only plays in peak matches, but his opponent, Tongtande, sees that his teammates are all useless, and he wears a mask of pain on his face. Listen to Garp lose his voice. Lieutenant Junior Grade almost burst into laughter, but fortunately, professional ethics are here. He knows. If I laugh out loud, my position as Lieutenant Junior Grade will be gone. So he lowered his head slightly. He didn't want Sengoku and Garp to see his suppressed smile. Sengoku though angry, but, bottom line. Kizaru finally brought back Straw Hat Luffy. This is for them Marine. It's an out-and-out good thing. It was also an unexpected surprise. At least. A nail was pulled out. He was not allowed to continue causing harm. Sengoku calmed down his anger. This counts as today. This is one of the few good news he can hear. If we say that the previous Garp was mostly happy and excited. So at this moment, he, who was originally smiling, suddenly became depressed. His face was terribly dark. How so? Why is this happening? Kizaru. Taking people's money can't help people eliminate disasters. You are considered a Marine Admiral, maid. Get your money back. Sabaody Archipelago. The Straw Hat Pirates were all brought into Shaki's tavern. Shaki's tavern is closed. Start applying medicine to everyone in the Straw Hats to heal their injuries. Be it Zoro, Sanji, Nami, Robin, etc. Almost all of them received a severe beating from the pacifists. There were bruises all over his face and blood marks all over his body. Tisk, 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 it's really miserable, Lin Yan smiled and said. Although miserable, but he didn't take it seriously at all. The characters in the world of pirates are all rough-skinned and fleshy. Not to mention this group of protagonists who were blessed by the protagonist's luck buff. At the same time, Lin Yan was also under Rayleigh's doubtful gaze. Tell him directly. Luffy was put into Impel Down. It will be out in a few days. Rayleigh finished listening. Everyone was confused. Where is Luffy being held? That is a dark undersea prison. It is said to be a place that has been unbreakable for many years. How did I get here? Are you talking about jailbreaking? Once upon a time, is Impel Down so worthless? Even the Golden Lion, one of the 3 great pirates of the old days. He only managed to run out by destroying his legs. Pity. Lin Yan didn't know what Rayleigh was thinking. If only I knew, he would just have a little smile on his face. You underestimate the protagonist's halo, be really ruthless. Kaido was pushed to the ground and beaten by him. Besides, Luffy's grandfather is Garp. I think Garp will fight to the death to protect his own grandson. Lin Yan continued. Although Ace is also Garp's grandson. It comes down to the bottom line. The importance of Ace cannot be compared to that of Luffy. At least. For now. Ace is the one that Sengoku focuses on taking care of, the orphan of the Pirate King, and the only remaining evil bloodline in the world. Not even Garp can do anything about it. But Luffy is different. At first he was just a supernova with a bounty of over 100 million. It's not worth Marine's fight. Secondly, the reputation is not too great. At least he didn't become the next 5 emperors. Third, by moving Ace, Garp had enough patience. If it's moving Luffy, even Sengoku, it may not be possible to suppress Garp. Garp's current status can be seen in Madara. Sengoku also had to take his feelings into consideration. After hearing this, Rayleigh gradually felt relieved. I hope it's the same as what Lin Yan said, at this moment. Zoro, who was still breathing, grabbed Lin Yan's clothes. Although he was confused at the time as to why Lin Yan would throw Luffy to Kizaru. But, sorting out the causes and consequences of things. And after learning that Lin Yan is the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates division and has an old relationship with Luffy's brother Ace. He also believed in Lin Yan, and there must be a reason for him to do so. Zoro said in a trembling voice, Captain, please, must bring back Luffy. The Straw Hat Pirates have made it this far. Everything is supported by Luffy. They don't want to. Luffy will always be in Impel Down, accompanied by darkness and loneliness. Rest assured. Lin Yan patted Zoro on the shoulder. He still expects Luffy to cause an Impel Down. After settling down the scene, Lin Yan knows. The pattern of the sea is going to change next. He must return to the Whitebeard Pirates immediately. In case for need. Talking about Kizaru. Look at the hot potato in front of you, Luffy. He knows. Next yourself. I'm afraid it will be very difficult. Admiral, Marineford is here, a soldier said to Kizaru. Send these supernovas to Impel Down and keep them under good watch. Kizaru warned them while walking towards the marshal's office. About half an hour later, Kizaru came to the marshal's office. But just walked in. He found the table that had been kicked over and 2 sinister eyes. One of them is Garp. The other one is Marshal Sengoku. Ahem. Kizaru coughed, and then explained his mission for this trip. Roughly out of 11 supernovas, he captured 10. The only one who slipped through the net was Zoro from the Straw Hats. The others were currently on their way to Impel Down. You did very well. Sengoku put away his gaze, then pointed at the messy scene. Sit wherever you want. Kizaru glanced around. Finally, I chose a seat far away from Garp and sat down. Unexpectedly, he just sat down. A figure stood in front of him. The person coming is none other than Garp. Garp said with a dark face. What did you do? Garp. This is the marshal's office. If you have anything to say, come out and tell me. Sengoku glanced at Garp and scolded him sternly. No, I have to ask clearly today. Garp didn't care, since Sengoku already knew that he secretly gave Kizaru a sum of money. A dead pig is not afraid of boiling water. I am holding a lot of anger in my heart. If Kizaru doesn't give himself a perfect answer today, let alone Sengoku, even if the red hair comes with the fruit of face, he won't give it to him. I don't want to either. Kizaru was really helpless. Thinking of the scene where Lin Yan insisted on pushing Luffy to him. He put the pain mask directly on his face. In fact, as long as Kizaru is thick-skinned, it's totally possible on the way back. Throw Luffy out. The issue is, on the way back, there were 10 warships accompanying them. There were tens of thousands of people on board 10 warships. In front of so many people, he publicly let Luffy go. Based on emotion and reason, it doesn't make sense. Doesn't he, Kizaru, have no face? Next. Kizaru also recounted the scene that happened in Sabaody Archipelago. For Rayleigh to step in and block. Sengoku and Garp were both expected. Only the captain of the Whitebeard pirates appears in the Sabodi archipelago. Why is this? Sengoku originally looked serious. But he touched his chin and began to think. Besides, there is another point that deserves Sengoku's doubts. This squad leader. Why do you want to give Luffy to Kizaru? Lin Yan has no purpose or motive. Sengoku didn't believe it. But the problem is, what is he planning? After all, Sengoku cannot predict the future. It was impossible to predict which move Lin Yan would make. But this is no longer important, he didn't believe it. Luffy can do tricks in the toughest impel down. At this moment, the office door was pushed open. An old woman came in from outside. She has white hair and wears a marine staff uniform. Behind her, followed by several young and beautiful women. The person who came was none other than he, the current Vice Admiral and Chief of General Staff of Naval Headquarters, one of the few female senior executives in Marine. Worked with Garp and Sengoku for many years. Even Admiral has to give it 3 points. Crane came in from outside. Her eyes were blazing, her body was hunched, and then she took off her gloves and said calmly, "Are you done with the quarrel?" Hear what Crane said. Neither Sengoku nor Garp continued to speak. At present, the Marine force has been assembled, all warships are ready to go, and the Marineford layout has been completed. Sengoku, it's your turn. Crane's eyes flickered towards Sengoku. Regarding what this old friend currently wants to do. Even if you don't have to talk intentionally. They also understand each other. The words fell. The office was noisy just now. It suddenly became quiet. Why did Marine arrange Marineford like this? No doubt. Summit War. It's already in preparation. Now. Marineford preparations completed. The troops are ready to go and the warships are repaired. It's also time. By the thread of Ace. Toward the Whitebeard pirates. Let the war begin. Sengoku was silent for a long time, his eyes shining brightly. The reckoning of the old era is about to begin. Oh hey, we're about to meet the Whitebeard pirates. Never thought of it. They had just separated not long ago, and they were going to meet again so soon. Kizaru suddenly remembered Lin Yan, whom he met at Sabodi archipelago before, with a smile on his face. Sengoku, can it really not be postponed? Garp, who was still high-spirited just now, started to tremble in tone after hearing what he said. He thought of Ace, who was suffering inside the prison. There was a hint of distress in the vicissitudes of his eyes. No matter how rebellious Ace Luffy's group is. He is the grandfather of these people after all. Especially. Still in prison. Roger personally delivers Ace to him. One day after another, one scene after another. It plays like a slideshow. Unconsciously. It's been so many years. Think of this. The wrinkles on Garp's face have deepened a lot. It's like he's aged dozens of years. Crane looked at Garp, and then sighed. Oh, it's really a bad fate. Somebody come. At such a critical juncture, Sengoku does not allow extraneous matters to arise. Marshal. Several soldiers came in at the door and gave a military salute. Watch Garp, he will not be allowed to step out of the guardroom in the next period of time. Sengoku pointed his big hand at Garp and issued an order to the soldiers. Soon. Surrounded by soldiers, Garp left here. Xiaohei, Perusalino, you two go get ready too. Sengoku lets the two perform their duties. Walk out the door. Sengoku looked into the distance. That's Marineford Square. In the center of the square. The seagull flag is moving in the wind, flying in all directions. Destroy the Whitebeard pirates and let Marine regain control of the Grand Line. In Sengoku's heart, become more determined. After the events of Sabodi Archipelago, celestial dragons are over. In the blink of an eye. Summit War. This epic battle between the Marines and the Whitebeard pirates. The most fierce war since the beginning of the new era. The curtain is slowly opening. A few days later. 2 pieces of news spread throughout the Grand Line with lightning speed. First. Is the Sabodi Archipelago Celestial Dragons event. No one thought of it. This group of supernovas is actually so lawless. Even the Celestial Dragons dare to take action. Celestial Dragons. Although known as the worm of the world, the scum of the Grand Line. It comes down to the bottom line. Their identities are there. Countless people dare to be angry but dare not speak out. Straw Hat Luffy punched them in the face. This scene. They were delighted to see it and clapped their hands. But. Although I was happy, the consequences were extremely disastrous. 11 supernovae that shook the sea, spanning an extremely evil era of one class. Their throats. being choked by Marine Admiral Kizaru. Pressed to the ground. Press it hard. 11 supernovas, 10 thrown into impelled down. Since then, the Celestial Dragons event is over. However, just as everyone thinks, the Grand Line will be at peace due to the Celestial Dragons incident. A news even more exciting than the Celestial Dragons incident has arrived. Marine announced to the entire world. At noon 3 days later, Ace, the former captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, will be executed in the center of Marineford Square in a live broadcast to the world. As soon as the news came out, the Grand Line was in an uproar. Want? Are you going to execute Ace, the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates? What's the meaning? Who is Ace? That's a member of the Whitebeard Pirates. Marine suddenly pointed his finger at Ace. Doesn't this mean that they are going to declare war on the Whitebeard Pirates? The Whitebeard Pirates. 4 emperors of the New World. Leader of the times. The strongest man in the world. Why did Marine openly declare war on the Whitebeard Pirates? The moment I got the news, countless people are still a little bit in disbelief. Real or fake? It's probably true. Marine has already announced this result to the whole world. I saw a large number of elite Marine troops gathering at Marineford a while ago. I couldn't figure it out at the time, but now I understand. Not to mention elite troops, I have seen the pirate Empress Boa Hancock and the world's best swordsman Dracule Mahawk appear on the Marine warship. It is estimated that all Shichibukai have also been summoned to Marineford. Marine is serious. Can the Whitebeard Pirates withstand such a huge battle? It's hard to say. After all, they are known as the first pirate group of the Grand Line. Even Marines will have a hard time cracking this bone. And just a while ago, the Whitebeard Pirates recruited a new captain. I heard he is quite capable. The Whitebeard Pirates are not weak. The Whitebeard Pirates are not weak. Don't forget that Whitebeard's age is here. He is nearly 80 years old and the hero is late. This is a flaw. Yes, even strong people will fall from their peak one day. Marine has grasped the fate of the Whitebeard Pirates. They were sure that Whitebeard would not give up Ace and had to accept their Marine's challenge despite knowing that he was in poor condition. Marine really played a good game. The news is out. 4 Cs, the first half of the Grand Line, the second half of the Grand Line. The whole world is boiling, bustling. There was a lot of noise. Taverns, streets, everywhere are filled with endless discussions. Some people think the Whitebeard Pirates are, after all, the 3 great pirates of the old era. He once stood on top of the world and was known as the strongest in the world. It is also the existence that competes with Roger and the people of Golden Lion. Marine couldn't chew this bone, and some people think so. The Whitebeard Pirates are strong, but that's just comparing to other pirates and other 4 emperors. Marine. That is a huge force that has spanned this sea for more than 800 years and has never fallen. Ingrained. The forces underneath involve the entire world. No matter how strong Whitebeard is, he still falls short when facing Marine. Anyway, no matter how you look at it, after Marine announced this result, in this magnificent Grand Line, finally came their new trial. It was Whitebeard who stepped forward, stepped on Marine, and took Ace back from their hands. Or Marine destroyed the Whitebeard Pirates with one punch, completely establishing the Grand Line's dominance. The turning point between the old era and the new era. Coming. The Whitebeard Pirates. Lin Yan was returning here. He looked around with confusion in his eyes. Huge pier. No one. Soon. Lin Yan knew the reason. The newspaper that Marine will execute Ace has already been delivered to their base. I believe the Whitebeard Pirates should be furious now. As expected. When Lin Yan landed on the Moby Dick, Whitebeard sat in the center, his expression downcast and vaguely angry. Around Whitebeard, all squads gathered together. Everyone is giving their opinion. It's too much. Damn Marine, you actually tried to blackmail us with Ace. Don't they know what they are doing? Has it been that our Whitebeard Pirates haven't shown up for too long? We've been bullied to this extent. It seems that we really need to teach these ignorant Marines a lesson. The evil teach, it's him who made our Whitebeard Pirates reach this point. Blackbeard, don't let me catch you. Dad, since Marine wants to declare war with us, why not agree to it? Yes, our Whitebeard Pirates don't cause trouble, but that doesn't mean we are afraid of trouble. I don't think this is appropriate. Let's take a long-term view. Dad, my suggestion is to negotiate with Marine. When Lin Yan came to the door, he heard all the squad leaders inside roaring with anger. Some people secretly scolded Marine for going too far. Some people directed their anger at Blackbeard. Some people were so angry that they wanted to kill Marineford and crush Marine's dignity under their feet. Certainly. There are also some calm people who try to resolve the dispute through negotiation. Lin Yan pondered for a while. Then he started to open the door. The moment the door is opened, the eyes of everyone inside all fell on Lin Yan. Unexpected. Except for the captains here. Zephyr is here too. For this, Lin Yan is not unusual. Zephyr, regardless of his strength or status, let alone the squad leader, even Whitebeard had to show courtesy to him. He was involved in one such meeting, of course. Lin, do you know the news? Marine has already bullied us and acted wildly on our heads. Can you bear this? Let's meet them. Otherwise, will we really think that our Whitebeard pirates are easy to bully? Lin, Dad is more inclined to your opinion. You tell Dad and let's start a war directly. That's right, we, the Whitebeard pirates, won't be angry with this. Watching Lin Yan come in from outside, all the team captains expressed their thoughts and opinions to Lin Yan. In their view, Lin Yan has just established the 17th Division. And my father often travels between the 17th Division. Whitebeard is relatively more willing to listen to Lin Yan's opinions. Lin Yan smiled bitterly. You really think highly of me. You're back. The thoughtful Whitebeard also noticed Lin Yan coming in from outside. When I walked in just now, I heard a lot of noise inside. Although Ace and I have never met, we don't know each other very well. But is there any point in you arguing and venting your anger here? Lin Yan paused and said something very important. 3 days, we only have 3 days. If you really want to rescue Ace, your top priority is not to quarrel or vent your anger, but to do your best. Prepare. Actually, for Whitebeard, of course he wants to rescue Ace. Ace's identity is particularly special. Whitebeard knows. You must be saved. But, since Marine announced the news, the Whitebeard pirates are also divided into 2 factions. Hawkish people think Marine will never be allowed to run wild on them. Dovish people are completely different. Once a war breaks out with Marine, the disaster is destined to spread throughout the Grand Line. The worst outcome may even occur. The Whitebeard pirates might even be destroyed because of this. In order to avoid this dispute, they tried to use negotiation to reach a consensus with Marine. Why doesn't Whitebeard know his own physical condition now? On one side is Ace, and on the other side is his huge Whitebeard pirate group. Coupled with the constant bickering between hawks and doves, Whitebeard is also in a dilemma. The arrival of Lin Yan. It actually made his eyes light up. Especially after hearing the words, it's not about arguing or venting anger, but it's about being prepared to take full power. The glimmer in Whitebeard's eyes gradually shone. Lin Yan's words. Whitebeard immediately raised his head. Lin, what do you think? If Marine wants to fight, we will fight. Lin Yan performs kung fu with one hand. Different from other squad leaders. The moment he joined the Whitebeard pirates. Just preparing for the start of Summit War. Improve your strength and gather the strong. Strive to improve your strength to the best state in the shortest possible time. Although Lin Yan is not sure what the ending will be next. But he was concerned about this Summit War, with unprecedented confidence. Listen to Lin Yan's words. Doves stood up one after another. Lin, I think this is inappropriate. Negotiation is the best option. Marine has announced it to the whole world. Do you think he will negotiate with us? Lin Yan asked back. If Marine is willing to negotiate now. It's like shooting yourself in the foot. Don't even say anything about the loss of face. And become the laughing stock of people all over the world. What's more, there is something you may not be aware of. On my way back, Marine has assembled hundreds of thousands of Marine soldiers and hundreds of Marine warships. All the troops are stationed in Marineford to prepare for the next collision with our Whitebeard pirates. Marine is determined to step on our Whitebeard pirates to take over. There is a cliff in front of us and Marine behind us. We have no way out. As for negotiation, in my opinion, only the weak need to negotiate. Lin Yan retorted. Indeed, only the weak need to negotiate. The strong ones will sit down and negotiate with you after the fight is over. That's right, the strong speak with their fists. Our Whitebeard pirates are not soft persimmons, we can do whatever we want. Good. Lin, what you said has reached my heart. Upon hearing Lin Yan's words, the captains of the Whitebeard pirates who wanted to fight at the scene also started shouting. Whitebeard was also persuaded. Yes, the Whitebeard pirates have no way out. At such a juncture, once you give in, What greeted them was only the enemy's advancement. Only. Doves don't know this, but the mountain of Marine is really difficult to climb. You are also thinking about the future development of the Whitebeard pirates. I know this, but don't be too pessimistic. If we meet, our Whitebeard pirates may not be Marine's opponent. Lin Yan added a fire attack. He finished his sentence. The entire conference room also fell silent. Doves think so too. The Whitebeard pirates really shouldn't retreat step by step. Soon. There was a consensus on the spot. Everyone shares the same hatred, and their target is Marineford. After seeing this scene, Whitebeard also nodded happily. In his heart, the decision has already been made. Ace is in trouble. How could they stand idly by? Never let Ace. All alone in Marineford, since Marine wants to start a war. Then fight to the end. You Marines. Don't you want to step on our Whitebeard pirates and rise to the top? Actually. Don't we, the Whitebeard pirates, also want to step on your Marine to get the upper hand? Let Marineford fight this time. Let's see who can lead the direction of Grand Line in the next 20 years. Whitebeard closed his eyes. Then it opened suddenly. Marine wants to declare war. Is there any reason for them not to accept it? Whitebeard pulled out all the water from his body, his sharp eyes flashing. Gu la 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 la, if you let the enemy see this sickly posture, wouldn't you be laughed at? Marco, Josie, you gather 43 affiliated pirate groups. Let's set off immediately tomorrow morning. The words fell. On Whitebeard's body, the terrifying momentum shook the entire world. A dignified and majestic aura spread out. When the squad captains saw this scene, their eyes showed admiration and adoration. This is the strongest man in the world who stood at the top of the new world back then, their father Whitebeard. Marine. Are you ready to welcome us? Zephyr sat in the corner without saying a word. He looked away from Whitebeard, then it fell on Lin Yan. There was appreciation in his eyes, unexpected. This is my squad leader. It does have such a rare side. Only. When I think about my situation, Zephyr couldn't help but feel melancholy. He dedicated so many years to Marine. This was just a short time after leaving Marine. We are about to face Marine head-on, although he was extremely disappointed with Marine. It comes down to the bottom line. I was once one of them. Become an enemy of Marine. At least. Zephyr can't take action. Sighed. He doesn't know what to do. Division 17. Lin Yan is sitting in the office, in front of him. It's Zephyr, Yishao, Green Bull and little secretary Ain. Lin Yan tapped lightly on the table with one hand, and said softly, you should all know, we are going to war with Marine. Zephyr was silent. A smile and silence. The Green Bull was also silent. Look at the three people's reactions. Lin Yan has known about this scene for a long time. Needless to say, Zephyr is the former Marine admiral. Yishao had originally planned to join Marine, but now that he was going to be an enemy of Marine, he couldn't do it. Although Green Bull has no obsession, but he quite admires Akainu's style. Letting him fight Marine was a bit difficult. So, Lin Yan planned to enlighten them while he had time. Tell me, how many people don't want to be enemies with Marine? Hold up your paw and let me see. The three people in front of him are all leaders in the 17th Division, and Lin Yan doesn't want them all to give up. Then, the three people raised their claws in unison. The smile on Lin Yan's face faltered. Horse riding. I asked you to raise your paws, did you actually lift them up one by one? Ain saw this scene. She also laughed secretly from the side. Lin Yan glared at her. Ain quickly suppressed his laughter, just like the duck next to Pang Milong. At this time, Lin Yan coughed and said, no, are you pulling your hips like this? Zephyr said, Captain, you know my situation. He smiled and said, Captain, you know my situation. Green Bull also said neatly, Captain, you know my situation. Several black lines fell from Lin Yan's forehead. Zephyr, I can understand. A smile. That's okay. Why are you, a green cow, joining in the fun? Captain, what do you think? Green Bull asked tentatively. What do I think? Lousy sat and watched, Lousy lay and watched. Lin Yan sneered. Haha, you are fired, of course. He won't do it if Green Bull is fired, but these three people. Lin Yan is a must-have. No matter what their reasons are. Take three people with you, even if you were watching from the side. Today, it is destined to be an extraordinary day for the Whitebeard pirates. Everyone is frantically supplying supplies. Ammunition is filled, weapons are polished. The figures are longing and constantly adjusted. In addition to the more than 1,600 people on the Moby Dick, plus the more than 200 people from the 17th Division. 43 affiliated pirate groups are ready to go. The entire Whitebeard Pirates group totals more than 30,000 people. Don't underestimate these 30,000 people. They are all strong men from the old era who have gone through various trainings in the New World. Each one of them is as good as 10. Even the elite Marines from Marineford. It's not enough to look at in front of them, after everything is ready. Whitebeard waved his hand. Let's go. Since then, the Whitebeard pirates rushed towards Marineford in a mighty manner. Aboard Moby Dick, Whitebeard faced the sea breeze, his robes rustling. He looked firmly at the sea in front of him, worried about Ace's safety. Captain, what do you think is the winning rate of our Whitebeard pirates in this battle? Suddenly, Lin Yan walked next to Whitebeard and said, winning rate? Hear Lin Yan's words. Whitebeard pondered. To be honest, in his prime, let alone Marine, he is not afraid even if his enemy is the entire world. But the problem is, like myself at the end of my life, how big a wave can it make? In addition, although the Whitebeard pirates have regained their strength now, there is no need to say more about what they were like before Lin Yan came. In this state, he rashly faced off against Marine. The result is probably, it will be unsatisfactory. Looking at Whitebeard, who was silent for a long time, Lin Yan understood what he meant. A map appeared in the hands of Lin Yan. The moment I saw the map, Whitebeard was stunned at first. He didn't understand what Lin Yan meant. Soon, Lin Yan explains why. But I saw him pointing to a place on the map and saying, it is obviously not feasible to improve the combat effectiveness of the entire ship in a short period of time, but I think this place can be used. Whitebeard looked along where Lin Yan pointed. But I saw a special name printed on it, Impel Down. Looking at where Lin Yan was pointing, Whitebeard wondered, Impel Down? Marine has deployed 100,000 elite troops in Marineford, and there are hundreds of Marine warships around them ready to go. The number of troops is at least 50,000, which is 150,000. What's more, the home field this time is Marineford. Where is Marineford? Marine's home base. They are competing where they have the most benefit. Do you think, 30,000 versus 150,000, even if all of us in the Whitebeard Pirates are good at fighting? With such a huge gap here, can we win? Lin Yan said extremely seriously, you're right. Whitebeard nodded, reluctantly agreeing with Lin Yan's statement. But what if we add the prisoners from Impel Down? Suddenly, Lin Yan changed the subject and continued. Whitebeard is so sharp, he turned his head sharply. Realizing the seriousness of the problem immediately, you mean? That's my plan. Lin Yan said firmly, is this going to work? Whitebeard's eyes lit up. If you can add Impel Down prisoners, then the chances of their Whitebeard pirates will be greatly increased. Whether it works or not, you'll know if you try it. Besides, all of Marine's attention is now on Marineford. Relatively speaking, the defenders at Impel Down are much weaker. If you want to do it to the end, and send out a surprise attack from the Ziwu Valley to disrupt Sengoku's original plan. Lin Yan looked at Whitebeard in front of him and smiled slightly. Leave this matter to me. His original intention was to let Luffy cause a scene for Impel Down. But after thinking about it, it's a bit unreliable to ask Luffy to do it. Lin Yan still has to go to the undersea prison in person. Just do it. After the explanation is completed, Lin Yan turned into a stream of light, instantly disappeared on the Moby Dick. Whitebeard looked at Lin Yan's retreating back, and his blood gradually began to boil. If he only valued Lin Yan's strength before, so now. What Lin Yan showed far exceeded Whitebeard's imagination. It seems, on my own candidate list, another person is about to be added. Whitebeard suddenly realized how lucky he was to have invited Lin Yan on board the ship. 3 days later, Marineford. A huge flag flutters in the wind with Marine's iconic seagull icon printed on it. Underneath the flag, they are tens of thousands of uniformly black Marine soldiers. They are neat and orderly, ready to go, with their heads held high and their morale high. With an extremely masculine aura, and everyone's resolute face with an all-conquering aura, this is the first shot of Marine's formation to start the Summit War. And around Marineford, fully 50 warships are constantly patrolling. Marine above didn't dare to slack off at all, monitoring every corner around Marineford. Besides, there are also 300 warships on standby. Outside the Gate of Justice, there are 500 warships in case of emergency. Marineford today. It is no exaggeration to describe it as impregnable. Meeting room. Marshal Sengoku's eyes were calm and his expression was as bright as a torch. There was no emotion, anger or joy on his face, only the aura of decisive killing pervaded his surroundings. Sengoku's eyes swept over the people in front of him one by one. Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru, Garp, Suru, and all the Marine Vice Admirals. It can be said. Gathered here, it is all their Marine senior leaders, the top combat power of Marine. Time's up, let's go. Sengoku waved one hand, and the robe behind him suddenly rolled up and fluttered. He immediately walked in the front. 3 admirals and many vice admirals followed. Today. Anyway. They want to wipe the leader of the current era, Whitebeard, from this world. Marineford's door slowly opened. First. What came out was the vice admiral, a dozen giants with huge backs and unusually thick bodies. Carrying tomahawks, maces, and helmets, they walked to the front of Marineford. The giant vice admirals will be Marineford's first line of defense. Behind the giant vice admiral, another group of people came out. The leader is dressed in a flamingo costume, with a wicked smile on his lips and a step that makes him disown his relatives. He is none other than one of the 7 warlords of the sea today, Doflamingo. Next is Mihawk, who carries a black sword on his back and has a sharp gaze and a serious smile. Then there is the pirate Empress Boa Hancock, who has beautiful black hair, walks in lotus steps, is tall and has a cold look in her eyes. Then came Bartholomew Kuma, the taciturn tyrant with a book in his hand, and Gecko Moria, who always had a hey smile. Shichibukai. Although criticized by others, he is Marine's lackey and the scum of pirates. But it's undeniable. Their strength is almost at the forefront of the new world. Watching 2 heavyweight figures appear one after another. The breath of the Marines, they all started to feel anxious. They became more and more eager to win this war. Morale is high. At this time, all Marines were shocked. The 3 admirals they have been eyeing for a long time appear. Right below the execution platform. There are 3 chairs there. These 3 positions correspond to the 3 admirals of their marine. Aokiji and Kizaru took their seats from both sides. Akainu is sitting in the center, except Aokiji. Kizaru and Akainu had a tacit understanding. Without saying a word, they crossed their legs and assumed a standard admiral sitting posture. They were silent, with a pair of judgmental eyes. Gaze at the square in front of you. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Finally. After the giant vice admiral, Shichibukai, the 3 admirals took their seats. Ace, the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates. Under the escort of Marine swordsmen, step by step, he walked towards the execution platform. The chains dragged on the ground, making a series of harsh and sharp sounds. Ace at the moment. His eyes were dull. Covered in bloodline, Madara's mottled complexion and disheveled hair symbolized that he is not feeling well in prison. He felt extremely regretful. If you are not too radical, if you are not determined to have your own way, it won't lead to the current consequences. Looking at the heavily guarded Marineford in front of him. The perimeter is guarded by warships that far surpass Buster Call. What will happen if the Whitebeard pirates rush in? Ace could hardly imagine it. When I think about the crew inside, countless members of the Whitebeard pirates will be buried here for themselves. The consequences are too heavy, he simply couldn't afford it. Ace lowered his head. He didn't want others to see him so weak. Do you regret it? If you want to blame it on the sinful blood flowing in your body. Sengoku naturally saw Ace's weak scene, and he said calmly. Ace said nothing. Just gritted his teeth silently. Not far away. After Garp saw this scene. He also lowered his head slightly. He clenched his fists, feeling 1,000 times more torture in his heart. Well. When he saw this scene, she couldn't help but shake her head. I hope Garp can handle it. Next. After nailing Ace to the execution platform. Sengoku picked up the phone bug. Give a speech to boost morale. In the end, it directly revealed the identity of the sinful blood flowing in Ace. As soon as this statement came out. Not to mention the hundreds of thousands of Marine soldiers in the entire Marineford. Even people around the world watching the live broadcast were shocked. Sinful bloodline? Could this Ace be a descendant of Roger? No wonder Marine would make such a fuss about Ace. It turns out to be Roger's orphan. I didn't expect Roger's orphan to be still alive. Such people should die. I finally understand why Whitebeard accepted Marine's declaration of war. Yes, Whitebeard will never let such a person be executed by Marine. Portkas. Since you are a descendant of Roger, why don't you use Roger's last name? It should be to avoid suspicion. If he really uses such a surname, even as passers-by will know who he is. There were pirates and civilians watching the live broadcast, but most of them were ordinary people. Everyone suddenly realized, I finally understand why Marine is so aggressive. After a series of foreplay, Marineford sighed. The Marine soldiers present thought that the person they were about to execute was Roger's orphan, the only remaining criminal bloodline in the world. Marine's morale got an unprecedented surge. Next, they need to do just wait quietly for the arrival of the Whitebeard pirates. Sengoku glanced at his pocket watch. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, just before Ace's execution at noon. 3 hours left. So, here comes the problem. The Whitebeard pirates. How did they land on their impregnable Marineford? It fell from the sky, or a frontal attack. It's eerily quiet inside Marineford. Everyone held their breath. The hour hand ticks forward minute by minute. However, while Marineford was waiting quietly, the first bad news came. Marine's Gate of Justice. I don't know when it was quietly opened. Managers within the Gates of Justice. It is currently unavailable. Hear the news. Sengoku's face darkened. As the saying goes, it's up to people to plan things, but it's up to God to make things happen. He also knew it very well. Even if Marine is fully prepared, even if he has imagined countless plans, there will eventually be some omissions, but he really didn't expect it. The first bad news would come so suddenly. At this moment, a Marine sentry suddenly discovered that a black shadow appeared on the distant sea. At the same time, next to this dark shadow, several dark shadows appeared one after another. Because the distance is too far, indistinguishable to the naked eye. The sentry raised his binoculars, then his pupils tightened. The moment when the sight comes into focus, the sentry was startled. These black shadows are all fleets from the Whitebeard pirates. Who else would it be if it weren't for its 43 affiliated pirate groups? Master Marshal, the Whitebeard pirates have appeared. Through the phone bug, Sengoku learned about the situation at the scene for the first time. The moment the Whitebeard pirates appeared, Marineford, who was originally quiet, suddenly became restless. The confrontation between the two sides is about to begin. The elite Marine soldiers tightened their weapons. He looked into the depths of the mist in the distance with great readiness. Where's Whitebeard? Sengoku ignored the group of people affiliated with the pirate group and directly asked if he had found any trace of Whitebeard. This. Marshal, not yet. The Sentinel telescope swept around, but unfortunately no trace of Moby Dick was found. Not long after, the fleets of the affiliated pirate group passed through the fog. Gradually appeared in front of everyone in Marineford. Look around. The Great Vortex Spider Scarred, Ice Witch Whiteby, Little Oz Jr., Lei Ching Makugai and more are here. These are the powerful men who are sweeping across the new world. The Marine sentry broke out in a cold sweat. Same. Marine throughout Marineford. They also began to sweep the scene. But there was still no sign of Whitebeard. Sengoku was silent. Whitebeard. This man is said to be the strongest in the world. How will he show up? When the three admirals, the giant vice admiral, the Shichibukai and other top marine forces were among the 43 affiliated pirate groups, the patroller Whitebeard pirates left the footprints of Moby Dick. Gululu. Suddenly, the bay began to bubble before their Marineford eyes. The strange sound attracted everyone's attention. Sengoku, Suru, Garp, Akainu, Kizaru, Aokiji, and all the vice admirals all turned their heads. After seeing this bizarre scene, there is only one thing in their mind. Coming. The next second, a huge whale ship emerged from the sky, suddenly burst out from the bottom of the sea. The visitor is none other than the Moby Dick. Sunlight reflects off Moby Dick. The colorful light makes people unable to open their eyes. The water column soared into the sky, suddenly rising hundreds of feet high. Moby Dick's outer layer. The thick coating was broken with a pop sound the moment it went out to sea. As the sole pillar of the Whitebeard pirates, Moby Dick appears. In addition, 3 smaller Moby Dicks also surfaced shortly after. 4 Moby Dick mother and daughter ships, with the force of holding the horn. Opposite the 4 directions respectively, the waves splashed and the water splashed everywhere. It even poured on Vice Admiral, the dozen giants in front. On the leading ship, the Moby Dick mothership, there are 14 people standing there. Marco, the captain of the first team, Josie, the captain of the third team, Beasta, the captain of the fifth team, etc. were all present. Except for Ace on the execution platform and Lin Yan lurking into impelled down. This is the peak strength of the entire Whitebeard pirates. 14 division captains were ready. Their eyes were blazing, and their faces showed no emotion or joy. A pair of indifferent pupils scanned the group of Marine soldiers in front of them. As expected of Marine. In order to deal with them, the Whitebeard pirates. It's really a waste of money. Don't say anything else. Just look at this posture. Enough to tell. Marine is determined to destroy the Whitebeard pirates. But you Marines don't really think so. Just these people. Can they just laugh at their belief in rescuing Ace? Wishful thinking. While the 14 division captains glanced at Marine. Marine is also mopping up the 14 division captains. Feeling the pressure brought by all the captains. Many Marines felt anxious and uneasy. No matter how Whitebeard is fading. But after all, he's also 4 emperors. He also wields the title of the strongest man in the world and the leader of the era, which no one can claim. Decades of heritage are here. They Marine. Is it really possible to destroy such a towering tree? This is an unknown. Just when the Marshal, 3 admirals, and many vice admirals laid their eyes on the Moby Dick. Tap tap tap. A sound of footsteps that was solid, deep, and struck the soul. The ups and downs are in the hearts of all Marines. Hear the footsteps. Marineford also fell silent. There are lingering sounds, resounded throughout the bay. The Marines among each other can even hear the breathing of their neighbors. The heart also rises and falls with the sound of footsteps and keeps beating. Finally, among the nervous expressions of the elite Marine soldiers, Whitebeard held the naginata in his hand and walked along the stairs to the front of the Moby Dick step by step. And Marine. I finally saw who was coming. An inverted beard, 4 emperor's robes, an iconic pirate ship captain's hat, and a majestic figure full of visual impact. Who else could it be but Whitebeard, the leader of the New World 4 emperors? Gyula la la la. Whitebeard slammed the naginata to the ground. Then he looked towards Ace in the direction of the execution platform. When he looked at Ace, Ace slowly raised his head and looked at Whitebeard as well. Eyes facing each other. Ace shivered. All the previous disguises were finally taken off. The tears in his eyes could no longer stop flowing. He shouted loudly, "Dad, I'm sorry for you." Listening to Ace's heart-rending cry, Whitebeard gently held the naginata in his hand with one hand, and then in a delicate and gentle voice, he comforted. "Don't be afraid, little Ace, Daddy, he's right here." Whitebeard's voice wasn't very loud. But because Marineford was too quiet, his rich voice spread to every corner in all directions. "Dad is right here." Listen to Whitebeard's comforting voice. Ace was like a flash flood, crying and bursting into tears. Tears fell on the execution platform. A pair of eyes full of confusion and helplessness. Like a lost child. "Those who hurt me, the Whitebeard pirates, especially Ace, whom I feel most sorry for, are you ready to wake up?" After comforting Ace, Whitebeard glanced sideways and stared at the 100,000 Marine soldiers in front of him. In an instant, intense pressure, an overwhelming pressure was placed on the shoulders of all the Marine soldiers in front of them. The Marine soldiers suddenly felt the pressure doubled. Just a look. They were almost overwhelmed. Is this Whitebeard's strength? It's not over yet. Whitebeard thrust the naginata at his side. The body squatted slightly, and a white light suddenly flashed in his hand. White light enveloped Whitebeard's fists. It is the ability that shock fruit exerts on it. Then, Whitebeard's arms shook violently. Crunchy. There were cracks in the space around his fists. Infinite power is released from within. This moment. White light shot out everywhere, and the space exploded. The power of shock fruit covers the entire Marineford. The bay in front of me was shaking violently. The water is turbulent. Marine who was further forward stumbled and fell to the ground due to the aftermath of this power. The giant vice admirals were also hit hard by the aftermath, and were knocked back one by one, their huge bodies smashing to the ground. Whitebeard's burst of power. It made Sengoku, Garp, San Admiral and other Marine executives look at him with side eyes. However, imagination. The scene where Whitebeard used shock fruit to destroy Marineford did not appear. After shaking his arms, Whitebeard stood up again, with no wave in his eyes. At this time, some Marines suddenly noticed. The water in front of the bay began to recede strangely. A large area of the seabed was exposed. Low tide? The soldiers were particularly puzzled by this situation. While they were thinking about it, on the sea, a monstrous tsunami hundreds of meters high appeared within everyone's field of vision. Ocean. Tsunami? After Marine saw this scene, they couldn't help but be shocked. The huge turbulent waves looked like a giant beast. It was as if they were going to be swallowed up by Marineford. A single blow with his bare hands creates such a majestic tsunami. What? Boom. Tsunami passes through. The ground beneath their feet was shaking slightly. Most of the people present. None of them have ever seen the power of Whitebeard's shock fruit. But they don't know. Sengoku, Garp, and the many three admirals are still unclear? Seaquake. This is one of shock fruit's extremely powerful abilities. The speed of a tsunami itself is extremely rapid. Plus it has the blessing of shock fruit. Back and forth in less than a few seconds. The tsunami has arrived in front of Marineford. The momentum is majestic, breaking through the illusion, and the seawater comes towards you, and it contains appalling power. The Marine soldiers were shocked. If you get hit by this tsunami, don't say it's them. Even all of Marineford. They will all be destroyed in one day. The legs of some Marine soldiers with weak resistance to strikes have begun to tremble uncontrollably. This feeling is like fighting against gods. How to let them fight? How can they resist? Powerful. Too strong. Whitebeard's strength is ridiculously strong. The strongest man in the world, this statement is true. Breaking into a cold sweat. The foreheads of the Marine soldiers continue to drop. Not just Marines. Even Vice Admiral, one of the many Marine giants at the forefront, had a slightly changed expression. They frowned or gritted their teeth. Prepare to use your own body. Withstand this wave of tsunami attacks. The first blow against Whitebeard. To be the calmest. None more so than the Shichibukai on the second step, and the three admirals directly below the execution platform. Bah. You're already a long time old, but you still have such peak combat power. Doflamingo smiled evilly, and the sea breeze blowing from the tsunami made his flamingo costume chirp. The strongest man in the world. Mihawk's face was indifferent. He just lowered the hat on his head a little. But the growing fighting spirit in his eyes betrayed his plain appearance. He. If you can get Whitebeard's shadow. Seeing such a powerful Whitebeard, Gecko Moria had a trace of yearning in his eyes. By the time, not to mention the enemy standing in front of him, he dares to challenge even Kaido. The Empress Boa Hancock and the tyrant Bartholomew Kuma remained silent, quietly watching from the sidelines. Kizaru glanced at Akainu and Aokiji around him. You won't move. That works. I don't move either. Let's see who can survive who. Tsunami. It's already close at hand. Finally. Right below the execution platform, Akainu, who had been waiting impatiently, twisted his neck. Snort. He lifted his chin, sweeping down the Whitebeard pirates. To create such a big commotion, give them Marine a showdown. There really is your Whitebeard. Akainu is ready to confront Whitebeard and annihilate the tsunami that is about to hit Marineford. Unexpectedly. At his side, the other figure was quicker than him. Aokiji, one of the three Marine admirals, moved. Aokiji stepped forward and jumped into the sky. On his body, a sudden chill emerged. But he saw his hands crossed, and then at his fingertips, ice air currents gathered together. Ice Age. Crash. Starting from him, the cold current spread out. Suddenly, the scene was frozen for thousands of miles. There is no snow in the cold weather. Large swaths of tsunamis are freezing at a speed visible to the naked eye. No matter how fast they are. No matter how overwhelming their momentum is. In front of Ultimate's frozen fruit, but he still couldn't stop being frozen. A cold snap passes through. The overwhelming tsunami came before. It turned into an ice sculpture in the blink of an eye. Not only that. Some of the weaker crew members of the Whitebeard pirates were also affected by Aokiji's frozen fruit. After the cold swept across. Among them, many unlucky ones were frozen into ice cubes. Thanks to the quick eyesight and quick hands of the people on the side. Get out of trouble as soon as possible, otherwise. We just met. They are about to lose a lot of friendly troops. The other side. Unleashed after the Ice Age. Aokiji landed in front of Marineford's bay. Frozen fruit is at it again. In front of his eyes. Even the bay is frozen over. The ice froze the bottoms of the 4 Moby Dick mother and daughter ships not far away, as well as the 43 affiliated pirate groups of the Whitebeard pirate group around them. Make him unable to move. Tsunami created by shock fruit. In Aokiji's hands, it was resolved. Got. Saved. Look, it's Aokiji Admiral. Admiral takes action, Admiral takes action. The rest of the life. The Marines, who were still immersed in fear, couldn't help but wipe the sweat from their foreheads. Just now. They thought they were dead. The fight hasn't started yet, and we have to go get the lunchbox. Is this Whitebeard's strength? Previously. They just heard that the top experts in the New World frequently sank islands and destroyed the world. At that time I thought it was just someone else talking. Now. When they actually meet. Just a wave of the hand. He almost destroyed their marine fort and destroyed 100,000 elite Marines on the island. The Marine soldiers' Adam's apples rolled deeply. They are far from the top of the New World. What is the difference? To know. This was just the old Whitebeard who nearly destroyed them Marine. Converted to the peak period. At that time. But there are Roger who is not weaker than Whitebeard, Golden Lion and many other strong men who can compete with Whitebeard. Hard to imagine. In that era where gods fight. How did their Marshal Sengoku, the hero Garp, carry Marine all the way? Facing the tsunami that has turned into an ice sculpture. And the scene where the sea froze and their Moby Dick was unable to move. Whitebeard's dull eyes fell on Aokiji, and a cold smile hung at the corner of his curved mouth. Isn't this the Marine brat from back then? Imp? Hearing what Whitebeard said, the soldiers were shocked. That's their admiral. Marine's peak combat power. It is the goal that countless Marine soldiers want to pursue throughout their lives. The result is Whitebeard, but turned into a brat? Why? Listen. Is this human language? But. Think carefully. Whitebeard does have the qualifications to play tricks on their Marine admiral in this way. Listen to Whitebeard's taunt. Aokiji's expression remained unchanged, unaffected. The palm of his hand was enchanted with frozen fruit. The cold air surged around his side. Frozen fruit burst out. Stepping on the ice sculpture, Aokiji flew into the air. Ice spear. Swish, 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 at Aokiji's side. It is made up of hundreds of ice spears. There was no emotion in Aokiji's eyes. He pointed at Whitebeard with one hand. It's too late, it's fast. Hundreds of ice spears flew towards Whitebeard. Huge penetrating power. The air is filled with long ripples. Facing Aokiji's cold blow, Whitebeard takes his time. The white light film appeared on Whitebeard's arm again. Air shock. Whitebeard raised one hand and punched again. A shock wave condensed from shock fruit broke hundreds of ice spears on the spot. Not only that. The force of the shock wave did not decrease at all. Head straight for Aokiji. Aokiji has quick eyes and quick hands, and his body is on one side. The air shock wave passed him by. His speed was galloping. An ice blade was reforged in his hands, holding an ice blade. Aokiji stabbed Whitebeard with his knife. Whitebeard raised the naginata in his hand. Swing Aokiji's ice blade away with one strike. Then he extended his hand. Straight up Aokiji's neck. Immediately afterwards, veins bulged in his wrists. The power of shock fruit is exerted in Whitebeard's hands. Boom. Aokiji was directly shattered into pieces by the power erupting from Whitebeard's power. As one of the three Marine admirals, Aokiji was actually crushed by Whitebeard? Marine was shocked. Many people in the Whitebeard pirates were stunned for a second. After all, Dad is too strong. Still. Is Aokiji not strong enough? But. Whitebeard didn't show much joy on his face. He looked aside. Beside. The ice that had been crushed just now condensed back together. Then a human-shaped ice formed, and Aokiji. Then he walked out of the human-shaped ice cube intact. Gulalala. The kid from back then has grown up, and now he actually tries to challenge me. Whitebeard raised the corners of his mouth and looked at Aokiji in front of him arrogantly. Aokiji patted his shoulder. He remained silent. This time, in addition to wanting to destroy the tsunami. More. He just wanted to test Whitebeard's strength. Just ask. Just the title of the strongest in the world is placed here. Across Marineford. Except Aokiji. Mihawk, Akainu, Kizaru et al. Who wouldn't want to cross paths with Whitebeard? Now the battle between Aokiji and Whitebeard. It is undoubtedly announced to everyone. Even though Whitebeard is still in his twilight years. The strength is still undiminished, of course. For the top strong men, their goal is to challenge Whitebeard. But for ordinary Marine soldiers, what they saw. It's just a back and forth scene between Aokiji and Whitebeard. Although this group of pirates is quite powerful, we still have 3 admirals, we still have the marshal, and we still have the hero Garp. In the game of top combat power, we Marine will never lose. If there really is a fight, it's not certain who is stronger or weaker. The Marines encouraged themselves, just because the scene where Whitebeard summoned the tsunami was really shocking. So much so that their morale plummeted, can be accompanied by Aokiji. In one fell swoop, the monstrous tsunami was quelled. The morale of the Marines also began to rise. Kill as many members of the Whitebeard pirates as possible. This is the key to winning this war. This is the Whitebeard pirates. Many people look towards the sea level, because there is Aokiji's Ice Age. Today's bay has become a war zone that can provide them with a place to stay. Some crew members of the Whitebeard pirates jumped on the ice. I tried the current load-bearing capacity of this solid ice. Good. Pretty solid. Pity. Now is not the time for them to be picky. At the moment when the confrontation between Aokiji and Whitebeard ends. Boom. Marines side. They have already filled their ammunition. At the same time, light the fuse. Cannonballs all over the sky. Smash towards the Whitebeard pirates, fighting. It started. The 2 armies fought. Artillery fire goes first. Needless to say, Marines' firepower, after the fuse is lit. The artillery fire instantly covered all the fleets of the Whitebeard pirates. Boom. The sound of bombings came one after another. We fight back too, after Marine fired a volley. The artillery fire from the Whitebeard pirates also followed suit. Bang bang bang. Heavy shells. It smashed towards Marines' high ground. Both sides will spare no effort to cover their opponents with firepower. Try to bring up the opponent's casualties as much as possible. But Marines' equipment is very good, and this is also the base of naval headquarters. The right time, right place and right people exist. Soon. The firepower of the Whitebeard pirates was suppressed. Even because of the aftermath of the explosion. Huge holes were blown out of several ships, simply supported by the ice. If not, seawater flows in, and there is a risk of shipwreck. Seeing that our own firepower was suppressed, we can no longer remain passive like this. The captains of all the affiliated pirate groups drew their weapons. Kill. The members of the affiliated pirate group rushed towards Marine to cover him up. Aren't you afraid? Many Marine vice admirals personally led the team, and they also showed off their weapons. He led the Marine behind him to kill the white group. A close fight. The artillerymen on both sides stopped suppressing fire with a tacit understanding. Dare you challenge our Whitebeard pirates? I'm afraid you don't know how high the sky is. Today, let you experience the strength of our Whitebeard pirates. The Whitebeard pirates swarmed up. How can we, Marine, be offended by you? You bunch of clowns, today next year will be your death anniversary. Kill these pirates. Marine also stepped forward to fight. The 2 sides collided together, between us. A large number of troops were invested. Like locusts crossing the border, the scene was in chaos. The captains of the Whitebeard pirates also took action. Beasta pulled out the 2 flower knives on his waist, and petals fell from the sky. Dressed in a tuxedo, he plunged into Marine's belly like a sharp long knife. Same. The other division captains were no less generous. Namur, Yizang and other captains also began to exert their efforts. Seeing that the squad captains have already taken action, the giant vice admirals also joined in. Raise the tomahawk, raise the mace. Hit the side of the Whitebeard pirates hard, a brutal fight. This is just the beginning. The scene was already covered in blood and broken limbs were everywhere. Have to say, although everyone on Marine's side is elite, well-trained, and magnificent. But after all, they are just flowers in a greenhouse. Many people have not experienced the bloody storm on the sea. But the Whitebeard pirates are different. New World is in great turmoil. Who can survive in such a place without 2 brushes? If we talk about the previous firepower, Marine suppressed the Whitebeard pirates. But now after a close fight, the advantages of the Whitebeard pirates. Then it appeared. War. Gradually it becomes confusing. Just when Marine and the pirates were fighting fiercely. In Marineford Square. A man carrying a black sword on his back. He slowly raised his head, fighting spirit revealed in his eyes, with an extremely sharp cold light. Like a hawk, his eyes were fixed on Whitebeard on the Moby Dick. Take a step forward. Come to the high platform. He is Mihawk, currently one of the 7 warlords of the sea and recognized as the world's best swordsman by the sea. After all, Mihawk is one of the best swordsmen in the world. This action of his It immediately attracted the attention of many people in Marineford. Bah. I didn't expect that the first person who couldn't help it would be you. Doflamingo glanced at Mihawk, and he smiled evilly with an arrogant tone. Are you going to take action too? The sea breeze blew, and her hair was dancing wildly. The pirate queen Boa Hancock looked at him. He. Do you want to challenge Whitebeard? Let me see your methods. Gecko Moria will wait and see. Oh hey. One is the world's best swordsman, and the other is the world's strongest man. It's really scary. Kizaru's eyes also lit up and he began to look at all this seriously. Snort. Akainu is extremely proud, but after he snorted, his eyes unconsciously glanced at Mihawk. Let alone these people. Sengoku, Garp, and even the tyrant bear who had been watching from the sidelines also came over. It seemed like I felt something. Whitebeard also looked towards Marineford Square, and then met Mihawk's eyes. Gu la, is there another kid who can't help but take action? Whitebeard naturally saw the sharpness in Mihawk's eyes, and he said calmly. Just like everyone else thought before. Whitebeard wields the title of the strongest man in the world. There was such a big mountain blocking them. Anyone who wants to be on top of the world can take one step further. Who wouldn't want to? Can you compete with him? Today. Summit War. This feast of dragons. Just enough to satisfy all of their desire to challenge Whitebeard. Let me see how much effort I have to make to get over your mountain. Mihawk raised his hand, held the black sword behind him, and then slowly pulled it out. At the moment when the black sword was unsheathed, a sword energy started from him and spread out to the surroundings. Many people can notice it. Mihawk's power is rising steadily at the moment. If there is a combat power meter in Dragon Ball, so Mihawk's combat value is undoubtedly improving multiplied at this moment. What a terrifying sword energy. Beasta, the captain of the 5th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, who was still charging into the battle, couldn't help but stop his movements after noticing the movements of Mihawk. He looked in Mihawk's direction, after seeing Mihawk's current attainments in Kendo. It's him. They couldn't help but frown. Years of hard training. He thought his swordsmanship had caught up to or even matched Mihawk's. Said without politeness. Beasta is waiting for the day in the future to be able to compete with him. Unexpectedly. Now when he saw Mihawk showing off his sword, he could compete with anyone. He also had to sigh. There is still a huge gap between me and him. Mihawk holds Black Blade Knight in both hands. He can make the world's best swordsman explode with full force from both hands of his sword, and he is the only one in the entire sea. Violent power surged into Mihawk's arms, after raising his strength to its peak. His eagle-like pupils opened, and his eyes were as bright as the stars. In an instant, he slashed at Whitebeard. Black Blade Knight, one of the 12 skills of the supreme sharp sword. At this moment, blooming with boundless divine light, a green sword energy slashed straight at Whitebeard in the direction of Moby Dick. Huge shockwave. Even Aokiji's frozen surface. Huge cracks also occurred. The cracks spread in all directions. Ice shards flew across the sky. Solid ice danced, covering the sky and the sun, sweeping the sea, shocking the sky and the earth, and shaking the sky. Mihawk stared at Whitebeard. How to block my attack? Facing Mihawk's charged attack, Whitebeard was unmoved. And the one who was about to land the chop on him. A figure. He suddenly stood in front of Whitebeard. The person coming was none other than Josie, the captain of the 3rd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates. Buzz. The dazzling diamonds quickly covered Josie's body. Facing Mihawk's slash, his legs slammed to the ground like a sumo wrestler. After the bottom plate is stable, he shouted loudly and directly blocked Mihawk's slash with his bare hands. Boom. The sharp slash collides with the indestructible diamond. The moment the two sides collide, all of Marineford was roaring. Many people were so shocked that their eardrums almost overflowed with blood. The sharp slashes swept across the surrounding areas, and the violent noise shocked the entire Marineford. Because there was a huge movement here, even the Whitebeard pirates and marines who were originally at war. They all stopped what they were doing. They looked at the 3rd Captain Josie at the foot of Moby Dick. What a powerful impact. The captains of some affiliated pirate groups couldn't help but sigh. He is the world's best swordsman after all. Even those marine vice admirals who pride themselves on being arrogant, when they saw Mihawk showing such strength. The waves in my heart could not calm down for a long time. As a party, the moment Joz hit Mihawk's slash, he frowned and his expression changed slightly. The sharpness of Mihawk's slashes, Even he was slightly surprised, it was a bit beyond his imagination. His legs rubbed against the ice, creating long trenches. Sweat on forehead, it was also gradually revealed. But who was Josie? The strongest shield of the Whitebeard pirates. No one can break his defense. However, he saw that the strength of his arms suddenly increased, and he grabbed Mihawk's slash and suddenly lifted it into the sky. In everyone's sight, Mihawk's slash, he was forcibly deflected. Slash and throw into the sky. It circled continuously and then exploded above the zenith. In an instant, the entire Marineford was cloudless and roaring. Hawkeye is worthy of the title of the world's best swordsman. Just now, even Josie almost didn't block it. Blood spilled from the arm. Simply, everything was carried through. And as a qualified pirate, he must not stop talking. Is this the charged attack of the world's #1 swordsman? I tried it today, but it was just mediocre. Josie quietly pressed his arm, which had begun to ooze blood, behind his back. At the same time, he did not forget to look at Mihawk with a pair of provocative eyes. Facing Josie's provocation, Mihawk remained silent. His target was Whitebeard, but the attack was only a single blow. Although he failed to succeed, he was unhappy in his heart. But there was no next move. Retreating behind the scenes, he also put the black sword back into its scabbard. This Chowzi is really a lump of iron. I didn't expect that even Mihawk's slashes couldn't hurt him at all. The Whitebeard pirate's strongest shield is truly worthy of its reputation. I have to say that these captains of the Whitebeard pirates are quite capable. There was a ripple in the hearts of the Marines, and they were naturally extremely shocked. Who is Mihawk? That's the world's best swordsman. The group of people who stand in the first echelon of the New World. If it weren't for Josie's obstruction, this slash of his. But it swept straight in the direction of Whitebeard. But I have to challenge Whitebeard. The enemy is Whitebeard. One can imagine how much power is contained in this blow. But even so, he was still easily blocked by Chowzi. Looking at the restless Marineford, this is just the beginning. It almost overturned the entire island. The collision of top strong men. As expected, they are not comparable to ordinary pirates and Marines. Today, it is destined to be a day that will go down in history. Beasta, I heard that your swordsmanship ranks first among the Whitebeard pirates. Today, I would like to teach you. Suddenly, next to Beasta, a Marine colonel walked up to him, pulled out the sword from his waist, pointed at Beasta and yelled. Oh? Challenge me? Beasta touched his mustache and looked in the direction of Colonel Marine. Then a hint of sarcasm appeared in his eyes. Is this how you want to challenge me? 20 people to 1 for me? Turn out to be. Behind Colonel Marine, there were more than 20 soldiers who all drew their swords. Beasta was immediately happy. Is this worthy of the name of teaching? HMPH, stop talking nonsense. It's 20 to 1 now, don't underestimate us. 20 Marine colonels swarmed up and attacked Beasta. They really didn't believe it. More than 20 of us can't defeat you. Even if I can't take you down, delay for a while. It can still be done. This is the self-confidence they have cultivated for many years. Kill. The Marine colonels are highly motivated. See this. Beasta just shook his head slightly. Crash. In the sky, pieces of red petals fell off. Beasta was bathing among the petals, and he pulled out his sword. Since you are seeking death, I will give you a ride. Swish, 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 in the blink of an eye. His figure turned into a stream of light. Among the petals, Beasta moved with lightning speed. He counterattacked from the bodies of more than 20 Marine colonels in front of him. Back and forth in less than a second. The more than 20 Marine colonels who had been arrogant just now besieged him. He was immediately knocked to the ground by Beasta. Each person received a dozen or 20 knives on his body. They lay scattered in a pool of blood. What? After the leader, Colonel Marine, witnessed this scene with his own eyes, he couldn't help but shrink his pupils. Look. Out of sight, completely invisible. What speed is this? They couldn't even catch any trace of Beasta. Marine colonels think they have been practicing for many years. Not to mention being able to defeat the captain. At least he can compete with the captain of the Whitebeard pirates for a while. Unexpectedly, the result was a disappointment. Don't say it's been a while. They can't even hold it for a second. Such a result. It's a bit hard for them to accept. Pity. After all, there is no regret medicine in this world. Beasta raised the knife and dropped it. Eliminated a large number of enemies in front of you. Same scene. Happening in every corner of Marineford. Many squad captains show off Kamui, show off your crushing strength. Defeat the marine soldiers in front of you step by step. The Whitebeard pirates are here. After seeing how brave the captain was, everyone couldn't help but yelled. Morale is high. Countless power emerged from the body. They wildly waved their swords at the marine in front of them. The marines watched the Whitebeard pirates burst out with such overwhelming murderous intent. They couldn't help but feel scared. Devil. This group of Whitebeard pirates are simply devils. First confrontation. Marine was beaten to a pulp and retreated steadily. The Whitebeard pirates quickly occupied most of the bay. At the same time, countless members of the Whitebeard pirates are united, pressing forward towards Marine, looking down at Marine who was being beaten and retreating. And the united Whitebeard pirates, standing on the execution platform. Sengoku's face showed no emotion or joy. The fighting prowess of the Whitebeard pirates is very impressive. In addition, most of Marine's staff are recruits. First collision. They were able to achieve this situation. It was already within Sengoku's expectation, his gaze. He just looked calmly in Whitebeard's direction. The first Captain Marco, the third Captain Josie. The 16 captains are all there. Sengoku determining the number of people, but his brows suddenly furrowed slightly. There is still one. There is also a squad leader who is not present. Where is Lin? At this moment, Sengoku was shocked to discover this problem. Lin, the captain of the 17th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates. Not on the Moby Dick. Even said, he's not in Marineford. What is Whitebeard up to? Lin's strength. Sengoku has heard a little bit. Sweeping all the captains of the Whitebeard Pirates alone. This is enough to show how impressive his strength is. Such a powerful person, if not put on the big screen. Wouldn't it be that such a talent has been eliminated? Sengoku immediately squeezed the phone bug in his hand. His eyes kept scanning Marineford, looking for Lin's footprints. When it was confirmed that Lin was not on the Moby Dick or other ships of the Whitebeard Pirates, Sengoku immediately ordered, Sentinels, search for the 17th Division. For Sengoku. Why is Whitebeard using Lin from the 17th Division? He didn't know, but the battlefield is changing rapidly. He would never allow unexpected things to happen to him. There are already many sentinels on both sides of Marineford. Hear Sengoku's command. They immediately raised their telescopes. Stand on the watchtower. Start searching for Lin's footprints in the 17th Division. Not long after. About Division 17. Into Sengoku's ear. Reporting to the Marshal, although we have not found any trace of Captain Lin, their fleet of the 17th Division is currently guarding the rear of the Whitebeard Pirates. A Marine sentry responded towards Sengoku. Listen to the answer from the phone bug. Sengoku also looked directly behind the Whitebeard Pirates. As expected. Over there. There is a lonely ship floating quietly on the sea. Whitebeard, do you want to leave yourself a way out? Sengoku thought about it, but in the end he could only think of this answer. With such an admiral level of combat power, it is impossible to show it. I'm afraid this is the only answer that can confirm my current guess. After all, outside the gates of justice, there are hundreds of warships ready to go. All it takes is an order from him. Those warships can quickly outflank the rear of the Whitebeard Pirates and launch indiscriminate bombardments. It's obvious. Whitebeard also thought of this before giving the task of sitting in the rear to the super-powerful new division captain. But Sengoku's face was cold and colorless. Want to leave yourself a way out? Then I'd like to take a look. When your front lines can't stop us, Marine puts pressure on you. What qualifications do you have? Consider a retreat. Send the order. If there is any trouble in the 17th Division, report it to me immediately. Sengoku gave the order. Yes, the sentry responded quickly. After finishing the matter of Division 17, Sengoku began to personally supervise the battle against Marineford. Whenever there is a shortage of troops somewhere, then the next troop will come up. No matter how brave and skilled the Whitebeard Pirates are. That's just less than 30,000 troops, Marineford now. However, 100,000 elite Marines have been deployed. At the same time, there were thousands of warships watching eagerly. Abundant manpower and material resources, in this situation. Protracted war. It has become their Marines' absolute advantage. I want to play? Stay with me until the end. Aboard Moby Dick. Marco looked at Marine, who had been unable to attack for a long time. His face darkened slightly. They, the Whitebeard Pirates, have indeed gained the upper hand. But this has the advantage, it's only temporary. Marine resisted very tenaciously, even if they launch a fierce attack. There was no way to break through Marine's defense line. At this time, he realized, it's time for you to do something. Marco, with a pair of dead fish eyes, laid his eyes on Ace on the execution platform. The purpose of their trip, he came here just to rescue Ace. As long as Ace is successfully brought out, all problems will be solved. And just when Marco was looking in the direction of the execution platform, Marine sighed. Kizaru is one of the 3 admirals. He also set his sights on Whitebeard. At least you have to move your hands. At least, it doesn't look like you're paddling. Kizaru lowered his legs in the standard admiral sitting position, and then stood up. This action of his, Akainu glanced at him. There was a rare flash of surprise in Akainu's eyes. Unexpected. This guy has always loved paddling. He is actually ready to take action. The sun is coming out in the west. Oh hey, if you want to capture the thief first, capture the king. Let's start with you, Whitebeard. Kizaru's eyes were fixed on Whitebeard, even though he loved paddling. But he also realizes it. This is one of the few opportunities in this life to challenge Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world. Being a strong person, how could you miss it? Kizaru squatted down half a step, then jumped up. He reached the sky in one step, at his fingertips. Yellow light emerged. Cross your arms. Kizaru had a smile on his wretched face. 8-foot-high Magatama. 8-foot Magatama. Sparkling fruit's large area damage skill. Although many people think that this thing seems dense, dazzling, and superficial, and it is almost impossible to hit people. But I have to admit it. Once hit by the 8-foot Magatama, the blow is undoubtedly devastating. Immediately afterwards, Kizaru crossed his arms without any hesitation, and activated the sparkling fruit, producing tens of thousands of yellow flashes, sweeping out towards Whitebeard on the Moby Dick. As early as the moment Kizaru took action, Whitebeard naturally noticed the movement on the execution platform. Gula-la-la-la, can't the third brat be restrained too? Whitebeard smiled and glanced at Kizaru with indifferent eyes. The first imp is Aokiji. The second imp is Mahawk. The third kid is naturally Kizaru. Come on, let me try your shock fruit strength. Kizaru said calmly. However, facing Kizaru's active attack, Baihu is like an eternal rock, standing unmoved in its place. And at the moment Kizaru's 8-foot Magatama was about to hit Whitebeard. Aboard Moby Dick. Marco, the captain of the 1st Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, takes action. There's no need for Dad to take action against you. Marco shook his hands. On his body, the blue-gold flame ignited instantly. Flames filled Marco's body in an instant. Just hearing a long cry, a phoenix filled with blue-gold flames soared into the sky. Marco's phoenix devil fruit is released, facing the 8-foot stroke Jade. Marco let the yellow flash pass through his body. I've never seen such a strange bird before. Kizaru strolled leisurely. The output of the 8-foot stroke Jade in his hand continued to increase. However, for Marco, all in vain. Wait for the moment when the two sides are close to each other. Marco kicked off the air. The body suddenly turned its head, hanging upside down on the golden hook. He kicked Kizaru. Kizaru also raised his elbow and collided with Marco's kick. Boom. With one blow, there was a roar. Blue-gold flames and yellow flashes bloomed at the same time. It detonated the entire sky. Then, in everyone's focused gaze, as a 3rd admiral, Kizaru slightly underestimated Marco's foot strength. He was hit by a leg whip. The whole body turned into a flash of light and fell towards the ground. Boom. Kizaru turned into a flash of light and hit the ground, causing countless smoke and dust to spread out from the ground. Admiral, watching Kizaru being kicked away by Marco. Marine below. Not to mention how shocked it was. Oh my god. That's Admiral. 3 extremely terrifying and powerful men selected from a sea of millions of people. The results of it? Kizaru as an admiral. Kicked away by the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates? Nani? Many of the Marines were dull. Watching this scene blankly, he opened his mouth, wanting to say something. But he was shocked to find out. I can't say it at all. Same. Marco was also stunned. After kicking Kizaru away, Marco was slightly stunned. Own. Defeated an admiral so easily. The expressions of the other captains and Marco were almost the same. Kick admiral away? This is too outrageous. Even Whitebeard, who had always considered himself calm before, had a change of expression after seeing this scene. Then he laughed, "Gu la la la," several times. "As expected of you, Kizaru." The Marines, on the other hand, felt uncomfortable. Admiral Kizaru was kicked away. It was true that their jaws dropped. A pair of eyes looked at Marco sometimes, and sometimes at Kizaru, who fell to the ground and splashed dust all over the ground. For a moment, they couldn't even tell who was the real Kun and who was the fake Kun. Match fixing. Someone is fixing the match. Check. Search to death. Perusalino. Akainu was slightly surprised when he saw Kizaru doing it. Now his face turned dark. He almost gritted his teeth and read out this series of names. Aokiji has been offline since the very beginning of Ice Age. Kizaru is now openly cracking down on match fixing in front of nearly 200,000 people. Akainu clenched his fists. The temperature on the skin of the fist rose sharply. The scene suddenly became like, Chianzuru only plays in the peak competition, and all his teammates are useless. Let's talk about Marco. There was no time to think too much. After Aokiji went offline and Kizaru faked the match, he realized, this is one of the few opportunities to reach the execution stand. His arms shook. The blue-gold flames were extremely strong. Marco pierced the sky like a shooting star, head straight towards the execution platform. What? Watching Marco's footsteps, many people on Marine's side became turbulent. Execution platform. That's the hinterland of their Marine. Now, he was suddenly broken in by the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates. This is the rhythm to take Ace away. No, we can't let Marco get close to the execution platform. Some Marine 6 Styles Masters flew into the sky on Moonwalk, trying to intercept Marco. Pity. How are they Marco's opponents? Phoenix Seal. Marco released the flames on his legs, and almost all the Marines who flew up on the Moonwalk were knocked over by him. Close. Close. Distance from the execution platform. Marco is close at hand. Come on, Marco. We must get Ace back. The only hope left. After the Whitebeard Pirates saw Marco approaching the execution platform, they couldn't help shouting loudly. As long as I can get Ace back, this war, they will win with minimal losses. Just when everyone was excited and eager for Marco to take back Ace. Marine's side. Would they have let it go so easily? The answer is negative. Seeing Marco's endless infatuation, he was about to arrive at the execution platform. Among the 3 admirals, the last one, Admiral Akainu, stood up with a dark face. Since Aokiji Kizaru is unreliable, so, Marine's last line of defense. It will be supported by him, in Akainu's hands. The lava fruit was released, and half of his arms turned into high-temperature lava. A line of lava. The temperature around the execution platform rose sharply. The black gas produced by the magma filled the surroundings of Akainu. Great eruption. Akainu stood in front of Marco. He raised his fist and punched Marco with fierce lava. If it's Kizaru and Aokiji, Marco still has some strength left. But this time the enemy. He is Akainu, who is said to be the strongest among the 3 admirals. Even Marco, the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates' 1st Division. They were all very energetic. The 2 sides collided immediately. One side is lava fruit. One side is the phoenix fruit. Flames filled all directions and enveloped the 2 of them. The war is about to break out. Marco is certainly powerful, but in front of Admiral Akainu. After all, it's still a little short of the mark. Although it can be resisted temporarily, but it can continue like this. He will definitely lose first. Plus, he has entered Marine's hinterland. Can't delay it any longer. He glanced at Ace, who was close at hand, and Akainu, who was blocking his eyes. Marco was helpless. The only option is to retreat temporarily. Akainu didn't give chase either. After defeating Marco, he fell from the sky, landed directly under the execution platform, and sat down in his admiral's seat again. Anyway, on this execution stand, there must be an admiral personally guarding it. And this person, it's Akainu, at the same time. While the Marineford side was playing in full swing. On the undersea prison side, things are fermenting quietly. Impel Down. It is one of the 3 important institutions of Marine and the first prison in the world. Known as the most tightly guarded place in the world. The people imprisoned inside are all terrifying felons who are famous all over the world and have a reward of over 100 million. In addition to Marine deploying a large number of troops to station here. On the periphery, there are also terrifying warships that rival Buster Call. It's precisely because of Marine's high regard in the viciousness of the prisoners inside. Therefore, Impel Down is also known as the Iron Wall. Lin Yan stood on the zenith, looking towards the direction of Impel Down below. As expected. Just as he thought. The eyes of the world are now on Marineford. Even to raise elite troops. Even the elite troops on Impel Down's side have been mobilized a lot. It can be said. Impel Down today, for decades. A rare moment when the garrison is extremely weak. I am afraid. Even Sengoku didn't expect that. It's this insignificant, unnoticed Impel Down. Will be in the next time. A group of prisoners emerged to turn the tide of the battle and deal a fatal blow to Marine, wiping out all the prisoners who had laid the foundation for Marine in one fell swoop. Mangekyo turns on. Beside Lin Yan. The space suddenly distorted. Lin Yan's body also twisted, he was sucked into it. The next second. Lin Yan, who opened Kamui, came inside Impel Down. Look around. The dark, damp, moss-covered scene was imprinted in front of Lin Yan's eyes. The environment is not generally bad. Impel Down has 6 floors in total. From top to bottom, the rewards for the prisoners are also increasing. And on that dark 6th floor, it is the most terrifying place in this prison. Bullet, Golden Lion, and even Roger all visited here back then. Own Kamui. Invading Impel Down is not difficult at all. In less than a moment, Lin Yan has arrived at Blazing Hell, the 4th level of Impel Down. Just when he was about to continue sneaking in, suddenly, Lin Yan stopped. A man with a red nose attracted his attention. Red nose? Lin Yan suddenly had a strange expression on his face. Could it be? Follow the target and look over. Sure enough, they saw the target dressed like a clown, with blue hair and a prison uniform. The red dot in front of his nose was particularly conspicuous. Lin Yan raised his eyebrows, with a hint of surprise in his eyes. Yo, it's him. Yes. The person in the cage in front of Lin Yan. Isn't it the owner of the most powerful Lucky Color Hockey? The first person with the live broadcast rights of Summit War. The person Whitebeard personally attracted. The only man who doesn't give face to the red hair. Hammered by Akainu, stabbed by Aokiji, dodged by Kizaru, and slashed by Hawkeye. After being besieged by so many strong men, Buggy the Clown still successfully brought Luffy to safety. I actually met Buggy God tier. Lin Yan had a weird smile on his face, the moment he saw Buggy. He simply didn't have to worry and went on his way. But Lin Yan had some doubts in his heart. During the Summit War, didn't Buggy and Luffy instigate a rebellion against the undersea prison? The two of them were living happily in the underwater prison, winning over a bunch of younger brothers, ready for counterattack Naval Headquarters Marineford. How? Look at Buggy today, still locked up in jail. How is this going? Soon. Lin Yan figured it out. It's not hard to guess, it should be because of myself. Inside the original work, Luffy was sent in by the pirate Empress Boa Hancock. Then they started to do things step by step in the prison, and met Buggy by the way. From then on, the two living treasures reached the peak of their lives. The issue is, Luffy today. It was Lin Yan who forced him to bring him in. In other words, Luffy might have Seastone handcuffs on his hands. He is demon fruit power. It is so restricted by Seastone. Even with the halo of the protagonist, it's no use at the moment. I can't stand up anymore. My pot is fine. Lin Yan slapped his head. The so-called protagonist's halo was actually restricted by a pair of Seastone handcuffs. While sighing, he was a little lucky. Fortunately, I arrived at Impel Down. Otherwise, he could only go back with Yishao, Green Bull, Zephyr, Drive Gundam, Control Thor, and demolish Marineford. Let's talk about Buggy. He really couldn't think of it. The horse-riding self will one day become a guest of the underwater prison. The reason? But I just dug up a piece of treasure and accidentally bumped into Marine. That's all. Then he was sent in, and thanks to Marine, he looks up to it. Lock him up on the 4th floor as soon as possible. He didn't know whether he should be happy to be treated like this by Marine. Or should he be happy? Or should he be happy? So happy. When I think about it, I will spend almost the rest of my life here. Sorry, Captain. I'm one of the few. Well, the only black spots on your ship. Sorry, Vice Captain, I didn't achieve the goal you set for me back then. Sorry, Shanks. What happened to Shanks? Just thinking about Shanks. Buggy suddenly became hard, so hard. It's this stinky one. As a result, Lousy has been unable to go out to sea to search for treasures. He missed countless treasure maps. If there is a chance in the future, Lousy will definitely put my size 45 shoes on your face. Don't let me catch you. Pity. Harsh words can only be said from the heart. Buggy couldn't help but become decadent. How can a pirate with a 15 million bounty on his head make waves in Impel Down? Kick Shanks back. He should first leave this Impel Down place that makes him panic all day long. Think back to those days, when I was an intern on the Roger Pirates. He is so arrogant and awesome, unexpectedly. Now it has fallen into such an ending, it's really miserable. If Shanks could see me like this, see me with a reward of only 15 million belly, see me become a prisoner in the underwater prison. I am afraid, he must be very disappointed with me. Although I keep saying that I hate you. But I actually still love it, pooh. But actually, you are one of the few friends I have in this world. Buggy became fascinated by everything he saw on Roger's boat in his mind. It would be nice to have a cigar, light a cigarette. Reminiscing about the glorious past, Buggy couldn't help but feel melancholy, his face full of vicissitudes and complexity. Smoke comes. While Buggy was melancholy, a voice sounded in his ear. How did Buggy, the clown who caused so much trouble in East Blue, end up in this situation now? Lin Yan looked at Buggy, who leaned outside the cage and asked calmly. Heard movement. Buggy sat up suddenly from the prison. He put away the frustration and sadness on his face. Looked outside the cage. But at the door of the cage, he saw a man wearing casual clothes, half leaning against the wall, joking towards him. Buggy's eyes fell on this man. Then a look of confusion appeared on his face. It is clear, he didn't recognize Lin Yan in front of him. The thoughts of reminiscing about the past were interrupted. Buggy just recalled every moment between himself and Shanks, and he felt a little unhappy. With a red nose, he raised his finger and pointed at Lin Yan and asked, Who are you? Get out of the way. Lin Yan touched his chin. Ouch, quite arrogant. But he wasn't annoyed, he just said calmly, Originally, I wanted to take you out of the cage, but I didn't expect that Buggy who swept East Blue's invincible hand would be such an arrogant person. That's all, you asked me to step aside. I'll just step aside. While talking, Lin Yan really planned to leave. Take yourself out of the prison? Buggy's ears quickly picked up the message. There was a flash of surprise in his eyes. Then he suddenly raised his head and began to look at Lin Yan in front of him. At this moment, Buggy discovered that Lin Yan was not wearing Marine's sailor uniform. You. Who are you? Buggy asked in surprise. Is it important? I'm just a passerby. Lin Yan put his hands in his pockets and said slowly. Don't go. I was wrong just now, I apologize to you. Little brother, big brother, as long as you can take me out, I will be a cow and a horse for you. Just now he was complaining about what kind of waves he could create in the prison. This life is about to end, and it is destined to be accompanied by loneliness. The result is the next second. The appearance of Lin Yan became his savior. Knowing that the other party was willing to take him out of the prison, Buggy turned around and quickly said to Lin Yan in a flattering tone. Ah, is this the magnanimity of God tier? I admire you. Looking at Buggy, who turned around faster than turning the pages of a book, Lin Yan gave him a thumbs up. As for being a cow or a horse, feel sorry. He doesn't like riding. The same kind. Ahem. Although the cage is made of sea stone, available for Lin Yan. There are no big restrictions at all, but he saw lightning appear in his palm, and the solid cage in front of him was directly burned into a pool of wastewater by the lightning created by the high temperature. Demon fruit power? Looking at the lightning in Lin Yan's palm, Buggy is instantly recognizable as demon fruit power. But the issue is, this cage, but it's made of sea stone. This sea stone. Why didn't it have much impact on him? Buggy opened his mouth, he wanted to ask why. But soon, he chose to remain silent. This is one of the few opportunities for him to leave Impel Down. He was submissive and did not dare to make any noise. Mainly because I didn't dare to ask. Brother, what are your plans next? After seeing Lin Yan's methods, Buggy became more and more respectful to him. Simple, I need someone to help me open all the cages here. To know, how many prisoners are there in the underwater prison? At this point, Lin Yan doesn't know, if he opens them one by one. Who knows how long it will be open? Say it. He threw a series of keys to Buggy, long before coming here. Lin Yan has already eliminated many guards of the underwater prison. From the other party. Got a lot of keys. After giving the 4th floor task to Buggy, Lin Yan started heading straight to the 6th floor. Walking through the dark, damp corridor, surrounding walls. It is also getting more humid. On the stairs of the corridor. Besides the moss, a mass of dead bones lay piled on either side. The scene looked like a hill made of bones. Watch this scene. It's not hard to guess. In hundreds of years of history. I don't know how many souls of the dead have been buried here for many years. Finally, a strange door appeared in front of Lin Yan. This door is made of special textures and has very terrifying patterns printed on it. It should be right here. Good. Behind this door. This is Lin Yan's destination this time. The 6th floor of the underwater prison. Eternal Hell. It is also known as the Forbidden Zone of the world and the Forbidden Land of Death. Squeak. The door was pushed open. Lin Yan walked toward the 6th floor with long strides. Now. In Eternal Hell. A fishman wearing a kimono and holding sea stone handcuffs looked at the deathly dark cage with complex eyes. On his body. There are bruises and bruises, almost all traces of whipping. Bloodline Madara, scarred. Marineford. There should be a war already. I'm sorry. Whitebeard. The fishman is none other than Jinbei. He couldn't help but sigh, thinking that he still didn't stop this scene. There was a sad and lonely look on his face. Once upon a time. 7 warlords of the sea, which was at its peak back then, also experienced such a downturn. Snort. What a foolish man. Next to Jinbei, there was a man with a long horizontal scar on his face, a golden hook on his left hand, and a prison uniform. Even though he was trapped in a cage, he still had a rebellious look on his face. Crocodile, also a member of the 7 warlords of the sea, has now become Jinbei's roommate. Looking at the wretched appearance of the fishman on the side, Crocodile had a look of disdain on his face. How did Jinbei get into prison? After learning that Ace was caught, he rushed to naval headquarters immediately to ask for someone. However, on this way, Jinbei had an argument with Marine. Even though Jinbei is 7 warlords of the sea. But in front of the behemoth Marine, how much influence can a small 7 warlords of the sea have? Since then, Jinbei was imprisoned on the 6th floor of this underwater prison. And as long as Marine wants, he can take the title of 7 warlords of the sea whenever he wants. Are you actually trying to negotiate with Marine? This is one of the reasons why Crocodile disdains Jinbei. Listening to Crocodile's sarcasm, Jinbei was in no mood to respond to him. He just sighed to himself. Alas, and just when Jinbei sighed. In this quiet eternal hell, there was a sound of footsteps. It caught their attention. Under the dim light, Lin Yan walked to their cage. Across the seastone forged cage, Lin Yan smiled and said, "As 7 warlords of the sea, do you actually sigh?" His gaze. He looked at Crocodile and Jinbei in front of him. Crocodile had a wary look on his face compared to the frown on his side. After Jinbei saw Lin Yan, a little shock appeared on his face at first, and then he stood up directly from where he was. "You are." The squad leader. Crocodile was brought in early because of it. As early as when Luffy cleared the Desert Kingdom chapter, Crocodile was thrown into the underwater prison by Marine. It's natural that he doesn't know Lin Yan, but he didn't recognize it. But it doesn't mean that Jinbei doesn't know him. Jinbei had read the news about Lin Yan before he was imprisoned. After all, they have an old relationship with the Fishmen Island and the Whitebeard Pirates. News of the birth of a new captain of the Whitebeard Pirates. He couldn't be unclear. But now I see the newly promoted captain of the Whitebeard Pirates. But he appeared strangely in the underwater prison, on the 6th floor, the eternal hell, known as the restricted area on the sea. Even Jinbei, who was one of the 7 warlords of the sea and was used to seeing big winds and waves, also had a change in his face. Could it be? Is the war at Marineford over? Marine is so scary. How long has it been since the war began? Did they swallow up the behemoth of the New World, the Whitebeard Pirates? Captain. Why are you here? It's not that Jinbei is not calm enough. But this is really incredible. It is simply a fantasy and unheard of. Jinbei suppressed the shock in his heart and asked Lin Yan tentatively. Our Whitebeard Pirates have been destroyed. Have everyone been captured by Marine? Listening to Jinbei's confused words, Lin Yan paused for a moment. Then he quickly understood. Are you so unsure of our Whitebeard Pirates? Lin Yan smiled and asked Jinbei. Soon. With explanation from Lin Yan. Jinbei learned the reason. The battle for naval headquarters has just begun. Lin Yan and Whitebeard split into 2 groups. All the way to the goal to Sniper. Another surprise attack on Marine's rear. Although Lin Yan was the only one on the way to the surprise attack. You want to free the prisoners and take them to Marineford? Jinbei also quickly understood what Lin Yan meant. HMPH, Whitebeard has a good plan. After Crocodile on the side understood the ins and outs of the matter, although he was arrogant and unruly, he had to admit that this was a good idea. As the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. The prisoners are enemies of Marine and have a lot of resentment towards them. If it comes at the cost of freedom, let them enter Summit War to fight. Not many prisoners could refuse, compared to the sky outside. Who would? Why not wait for death in this dark undersea prison? For Lin Yan, he needed the strength of the prisoners. Don't look at the fact that he can drive a Gundam, control Thor, and with a smile they can sweep across Marineford. But this is just a thought. Lin Yan would never look down on Marine. I never think it's just a group of them. You can take down the Marine who has been crossing the sea for more than 800 years without falling. If only Marine was so easy to deal with. Why did rocks die back then? If only Marine was so easy to deal with. Isn't it a simple and easy matter for the other 4 emperors to directly join forces and promote Marine? On the surface, Marine seems to have only 1 handsome man and 3 generals. But the problem is, besides, they also have many backup admirals, all of whom are the best in quality. And the admiral retreated behind the scenes, hiding his secret and unconcerned fighting power. Even on Lin Yan's side, with the participation of Yishao, Green Bull, Zephyr and others. Influenced. It is just a balance of battle between the 2 major forces, relieving the pressure of the Whitebeard pirates' lack of top combat power. If the war between the 2 sides is about to break out, a fight to the death will begin. Which one is strong and which one is weak, it may not be clear. This is why Lin Yan must take the prisoners to the top of the battle. Realized Lin Yan's purpose. Jinbei clenched his fists. Please take me with you and contribute to the Whitebeard pirates. Lin Yan originally wanted to bring this group of people out. One hand pressed on the iron prison. Thunderfruit is released immediately. The cage was directly melted into molten iron by him. Looking at Lin Yan's methods, Crocodile also showed the same surprise as Buggy before. Why? Seastone can't restrict you. Secret. Lin Yan smiled mysteriously and did not answer. At the same time, he glanced at Crocodile and then asked, Now, 7 warlords of the sea, are you interested in the freedom outside? Interested in the freedom outside? Crocodile sneered. You don't want to invite me to help your Whitebeard pirates join the battle? Lin Yan nodded. If you haven't met, your life or death has nothing to do with me. Now that you have met, you are a rare 7 warlords of the sea. There is one more 7 warlords of the sea. Our Whitebeard pirates have an extra layer of protection, right? Crocodile still sneered. Why should I promise you? Listen to what the other person says. Lin Yan put a hand on his cage without saying a word. The next second, his cage was shattered by Lin Yan's thunder and lightning heat. Crocodile looked at the cage that was melting. His heart was slightly shaken. Immediately afterwards, Lin Yan's words passed into his ears. Do you really want to be locked up here for the rest of your life? Come with me. After this war, whether you go or stay, I will never stop you. Lin Yan gave Crocodile a reason he couldn't refuse. Crocodile was silent. Finally he said one word. Okay. Lin Yan is alone in front. Crocodile and Jinbei followed him. If it were said that the underwater prison only held felons on the sea. So this is the 6th level. All those imprisoned are the strongest men in the world. It stands to reason that this group of people would join. Pressure. Then came to Marine's side. But Lin Yan didn't intend to release them. The reason is simple. These 6th level prisoners. It's not easy to control. Lin Yan would rather not be someone who is difficult to control. He searched around. At this time, a loud sound resounded throughout the 6th level of eternal hell. Not so much the noise, rather, it was a quarrel. Asshole Straw Hat Boy, it's all your fault. If you hadn't beaten up the celestial dragons, wouldn't we be locked up in the 6th floor of the underwater prison? Kid kicked the boulder at his feet, and the boulder hit Luffy's head accurately. There was a crisp sound. I want you to take care of it? Luffy glared at Kid. I can't stand this guy anymore. DJ Yin Apu also had a dark face and cursed Luffy. I want you to take care of it? Luffy glared back at Apu. Damn it, if he hadn't angered the celestial dragons, we wouldn't have been pushed to the ground and beaten by Admiral. The strange monk Yu Rouge followed closely behind. I want you to take care of it, Luffy quickly responded. Don't let me come out, Let me come out, I will beat you to relieve my anger. As a gluttonous girl, Jewelry Bonnie also vents her anger. I want you to take care of it? Luffy fought back. According to my prediction, I won't die and impel down. Hawkins thought about the results of his cards. I want you to take care of it? Crazy Luffy bites everyone he sees. Hawkins. I just recalled my calculation results while I was on horseback. Am I provoking you? Stupid Straw Hat. When everyone keeps quarreling and scolding each other. It's so lively. Lin Yan entered everyone's field of vision. His appearance instantly attracted the attention of all the supernovas present. Certainly. First meet. None of the supernovas recognized Lin Yan for a while. But not recognizing him doesn't mean that everyone doesn't recognize Jinbei and Crocodile behind Lin Yan. These two. But the 7 warlords of the sea have dominated the sea for many years. However, when I saw Grand Line's all-powerful Shichibukai, he was just following Lin Yan. Everyone began to look at Lin Yan, because of their careful observation. A group of supernovas also recognized Lin Yan's identity. The new captain of the Whitebeard Pirates. First there was Trafalgar Law, who stared at Lin Yan sullenly. I find it strange. Why did the newly promoted captain of the Whitebeard Pirates appear in the underwater prison of their archenemy, Marine? Kid also glanced sideways at Lin Yan and asked in question. Could it be that Marine caught him here? This looks like a lost captain. DJ Yin Apu wondered if Lin Yan was also caught by Marine. If that's really the case, then this squad leader. It's not as strong as the rumors say, it's you. Luffy naturally remembered Lin Yan, whom he met once in Saboti Archipelago. Although the other party was very unkind and sent him to the underwater prison, and locked him in this impelled-down cage that never saw the light of day. At least, his own crew members did not suffer this ordeal. In this regard, Luffy was grateful to Lin Yan. Why are you here? I have a deal here, do you want to do it? I think none of you will want to stay in this eternal hell. Do me a favor and break up after you're done. Lin Yan raised his eyebrows. Although Supernova is not strong, it is still far from the first line level of New World. But at least the reward is over 100 million, the most important is. This is comparing them with Lin Yan and other top players in New World. If you compare them to other ordinary pirates, these supernovae are almost like tigers and sheep, unstoppable. Not to mention, as the protagonist King Luffy, when he was wandering around in the first half of the Grand Line, he killed Crocodile and Gecko Moria. This deal of yours is to use our power to help your Whitebeard pirates participate in the battle at Marineford. Hawkins, who is relatively calm among the supernovas, said calmly. As early as when they were imprisoned, I've heard a little bit about Summit War. The man in front of me. After all, he is the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates. He didn't believe that Marine was really that capable of catching the squad leader. It's not hard to guess. The prisoners inside Impel Down are his targets. Clever. Lin Yan did not deny it. He glanced at the supernovas in front of him and asked, they are all a group of young guys. Don't you think it's a pity to be buried here? Now, this opportunity is before you. Agree or reject, stay here or leave. The future is all in your thoughts. Lin Yan's words are not confusing. But it directly touched the depths of their hearts. They have experienced the underwater prison. Who would want to stay here forever? I'll go with you. Hawkins spoke immediately and gave Lin Yan an answer. He is a fortune teller after all, he realized. I was able to leave Impel Down and escape, probably because of the captain in front of me. The fortune tellers all agreed. It seems like this is the only way we can leave Impel Down. I'll go with you too. After Trafalgar Law witnessed this scene, he agreed. It seems like I have no choice. Kid thought for a while and agreed to Lin Yan's conditions. The other supernovae also know what is important and what is important. They all agreed. Luffy came here to rescue Ace. Based on emotion and reason, he has to leave the underwater prison. At last. Only Jewelry Bonnie, known as the gluttonous girl, has yet to reply. What about you? Xiao Nizi. Lin Yan turned his interested eyes to Bonnie, who was silent in the prison. Bonnie also raised his head. She also looked at Lin Yan. Eyes facing each other. Then Lin Yan frowned, and he saw a strong resentment in Bonnie's eyes. What happened? Does this little girl have a deep prejudice against herself? While thinking, Bonnie spoke. She said, I will go with you. But before that, I have a question that I need you to answer. Listen to what the other person says. Lin Yan nodded, but it doesn't matter. Saboti Archipelago, I cheated you when we first met, This is my fault. I apologize to you. But, did you do anything to me after I was unconscious? Bonnie continued to look at Lin Yan with resentful eyes and asked. Wake up. He was caught by Marine. However, this is not the most important thing. What matters is, all the valuables he had on him disappeared. There was no reason for Marine to take those things from her. The only explanation, the only one I met was Lin Yan before she fell into coma. For this, Bonnie was very angry. Is there any mistake? Do you have any sense of charity? I'm a girl. A girl lies down in front of you. It's okay if you don't hold hands. And took all the valuables from me? Take a look. Is this something humans do? For a man, there is nothing more insulting than a woman saying, coming in, or, it's over. But for a woman, the most insulting and depressing thing to her is, put it on, I'm not that kind of person. Jerk. My mother is bent forward and backward. You need to have a good figure and a good appearance. But in your eyes, is it so unattractive? Bonnie was hurt. I was a bit shocked. Forehead. Lin Yan suddenly remembered that she had stripped herself. Ahem. The scene where she stripped her of all her valuables. I feel a little guilty. After groaning for a while, he quickly turned his head and denied, no, absolutely not. Is it? I never thought that there would be times when a dignified captain would dare to do something he dared not to do. Bonnie could see Lin Yan's guilty conscience at a glance. She paused for a while and then continued, I don't need other things, but there is a bracelet that is very precious to me. Captain, I hope you can return it when you are free. Give it to me, that's the only bond I have with my family. Bracelet. Lin Yan remembered. There seems to be such a bracelet. But, when I was drinking at Shaki's tavern, he had already regarded it as drink money and dumped it all to Shaki. I hope Shaki didn't redeem Bailey. Lin Yan thought like this. With all the supernovae released by Lin Yan, on the 6th level of Eternal Hell, Lin Yan also took away Jinbei, Crocodile, and the 10 supernovas in front of him. Since then, the liberation of prisoners in the underwater prison has officially begun. This side of the 4th and 5th floors, Buggy also follows Lin Yan's orders exactly. Execution is in full swing. Large numbers of prisoners were released by him. Have to say, Buggy still has the demeanor of a leader, especially his ability to draw the pie. Drawing a pie may not be of much use to people like Lin Yan who are based on material resources. But relative to these prisoners, that is simply a dimensionality reduction blow. In less than a moment, Buggy has also vaguely become the leader of the prisoners. Except Buggy. Luffy also accidentally passed through the 5.5 levels of hell and brought out all the people in the human demon kingdom. When I saw Ivankov, Inazuma and the others behind Luffy, Lin Yan didn't have much trouble. They are all members of the Revolutionary Army. Who is Luffy? The son of the dragon. The young master of the Revolutionary Army. Is there any reason for Ivankov not to help? Lin Yan was calm, Jinbei was calm, and other supernovae turned a blind eye to it. But the only person present who felt numb was Crocodile, who had always been proud before. The moment I saw Ivankov, he frowned at first, and at the same time couldn't help but take a step back. His face was no longer calm, on the contrary. There are also snacks to panic. Ivankov naturally saw Crocodile's appearance. He gave Crocodile a wink. It seems to be hinting at something. Certainly. What exactly is implied? I'm afraid only they two know it. On the 5th floor, the prisoners on the 4th floor were liberated one by Buggy and Luffy. The movement here, it quickly attracted the attention of Warden Magellan. Why? Why do so many surveillance phone bugs lose footage? In the central command post, Magellan stood up and looked at the dark screen on the screen, his face furious. Lin Yan lurked in all the way. He had already destroyed a lot of phone bugs. When the picture is transmitted to the central command headquarters, it is basically a black screen. Magellan was angry. I just came back from going to the toilet. Immediately afterwards, such a big chaos broke out here. Is this okay? Warden, we don't know either. A soldier said tremblingly. Magellan scowled. His gaze constantly scanning the screen that had already gone black. Impel down is where? Magellan still doesn't know. As a prison warden for many years, he immediately realized the seriousness of the problem. Especially today. Something big is happening over at Marineford. We must not let the chaos of Impel Down affect the Marshal's plan. Magellan raised his head and said with a gleam in his eyes, call the security team and divide it into 2 groups. One group will guard the Impel Down gate, and the other group will follow me to the destination to find out. On weekdays, the number of elite Marines guarding Impel Down totaled almost 10,000 to 20,000. Now, because of the shortage of elite troops, they Impel Down also sent many troops to Marineford. Magellan only has less than 8,000 people at his disposal. When arranging 2,000 people to guard the gate, he personally led the remaining 6,000 people and rushed towards the interior of Impel Down. Buggy's side. The prisoners on the 5th, 4th, and 3rd floors were all released by him. Looking at the crowd of boys below, they shouted, Captain Buggy, one after another. Buggy's face glowed red. Suddenly I felt like I was on edge. The clown king of those days, I'm home. But he knew it. He was able to leave Impel Down only because of the captain of the Whitebeard Regiment. Buggy came to Lin Yan's eyes. At the same time, he talked about the current situation. He has already released 3 levels of prisoners. Although there are many people, but trouble also came one after another. The first trouble is that because the movement on their side is so loud, it may have attracted the attention of the warden. The second trouble comes from this group of released prisoners. Before going into Impel Down without being imprisoned, they are arrogant and unruly pirates. Now the shackles are lifted. Inevitably, trouble began to arise in my heart. Ready to move. Listen to Buggy. About Marine's discovery of their movement. Lin Yan was fully prepared before coming in. He didn't think so. Magellan can really stop them. As for these troublemakers. Stab, stab, stab. 3 or 5 bolts of lightning landed and hit them directly. The dozen or 20 people who shouted the most fiercely were all hit by Lin Yan's lightning and turned into a pool of blood mist, leaving no bones behind. For those who are cruel, all you can do is be more cruel than them. Okay, if anyone else wants to follow in my footsteps, just tell me and I can satisfy you. There is no free lunch in the world. If you want to stay in prison, then just stay there. There is no need to cheat. Now that we're on board, I am the one who rules. Lin Yan's cold voice spread throughout the entire scene. After watching Lin Yan kill a dozen or 20 cheating and slippery wallflowers, everyone at the scene was shocked. They all looked in his direction. My heart was extremely shocked, and my face was full of surprise and uncertainty. If you say do it, do it. Everyone couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. They really didn't expect it. This guy looks young. He was so decisive when he started taking action. And the most important thing is that this group of pirates is not weak. There are lessons learned from the past. The group of people before were also shocked. The evil thoughts in the heart are erased. Don't dare to make mistakes. Next. The liberation of the prisoners was much smoother. But, just as they were preparing to further release all prisoners, as the supreme commander of Impel Down, Magellan leads the garrison. Arrived here. Magellan, the warden of the underwater prison, a user with poison fruit ability, spits poison gas from his mouth and is surrounded by poison. Once with great strength, the Blackbeard pirates became famous in one fell swoop. With the blessing of the poison fruit, Magellan has a strength not weaker than Marine Admiral. However, the poisonous fruit is powerful. But it has a very fatal flaw. That is, he spent almost half of the day excreting, and even because of the strong poison in his body, he could not get close to anyone. Earlier years, Magellan was valued by the previous marshal and was qualified to be the strongest warden of Impel Down. Within the time period of his jurisdiction, except Golden Lion, almost no one can please the Impel Down mountain he guards. It can be said, the terrifying image of Warden Magellan left a strong mark on the hearts of the prisoners. This appearance of his. The prisoners in Impel Down were like cats with exploded hair. They were all terrified and quickly distanced themselves from Magellan as if they had seen a ghost. The movement here. Soon he was also seen by Jinbei, Crocodile, Ivankov, and Lin Yan. Lin Yan looked at the other party calmly. Magellan. Are you finally here?